Welcome back to the party, everybody. This is Morty, and I am your host, Lunch, aka TheIndianJesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Everybody hit that like and subscribe. You know I would do it for you. And let's party. Welcome to the party. We got a new little feature here with the chat feed in the corner, so everything you guys say will come up on stream. Oh, we got our boy Morty in the building, the co-host to the stars, the overlord. Don't forget, guys, every donation comes with a treat for Morty. You saw the thumbnail. You saw the title. You know what's good. Let's dive right in, guys. If you cannot hear the video, please do let me know.
You're going to open, so go ahead. My name is Rafael Gomez. I'm the host of Women on Men, where I interview women about men and dating. And here's my opening statement. I'm not here to fight men. I'm here to fight for them. Because the red pill is presented as medicine, but it's actually a poison, and peer-reviewed research proves it. Red pill and manosphere content preys on angry, rejected men and turns their pain into blame. It tells them women are the enemy, that dating is a war, and they're losing.
That dating is a war, and we are losing.
Feminism ruined everything. The very people they want to date become their adversaries, and it's easier to buy into that story than to look inward.
Yeah, but feminism is not women.
But the science is clear. Studies consistently show that red pill communities promote hostile sexism, dehumanize women, and radicalize male pain into misogyny. And to top it off, it's not helping them date either. Men who endorse red pill beliefs report higher levels of loneliness, romantic dissatisfaction, and psychological distress. But the consequences are real and deadly. Just a short drive from this studio, Elliot Rodger murdered 6 people at UC Santa Barbara with the manifesto filled with hatred for women.
Don't do that.
Don't do what?
Don't do the manifesto. Don't do that for YouTube purposes. Like, just skip that part.
The Feminist Manifesto.
Or maybe.
Okay.
You
already made the point. Go ahead. Yeah. Okay. And he became a martyr for red pill communities, a symbol of what happens when male pain festers into violence. For all the lectures about female nature and alpha dominance, red pill men aren't forming real relationships. They're staying single, bitter, and stuck. The more they consume this content, the worse their life gets. Not because women changed, but because they did. In the end, it leaves them lonely, angry, and blaming everyone but the ideology that failed them. Just this week, Andrew called red pill creators degenerates for pushing casual sex, discouraging marriage, and obsessing over status. Yet here he is today defending that same ecosystem. He also said that the divide between men and women is a good thing because he believes women will cave first. Andrew wants to keep that division wide because it serves his personal crusade to eradicate feminism, even if it means sacrificing the well-being of the very men he claims to protect. That's fine.
All right. So what an opening. What an opening. Shout out to Nick Luchetti. Welcome to the party. Very good to see you. Very good to see you. So as you can tell, this guy is basically a stereotype of what feminists, male feminists are. That's basically as down the line as you're going to get, what you would expect. And here's Andrew to rip him apart.
My opening statement.
Okay. So I'll respond. A few things. By the way, my name is Andrew Wilson, the host of the Crucible. Welcome to our, well, actually, thank you guys for having me, especially the Whatever podcast chat. Always nice to be back with you guys. And of course, the Crucible crew. Thank my opponent for coming out as well for this. So the first thing is you mentioned that the red pill is poison and women are enemies, adversaries. I think that you're making a very classic mistake that many people make, which is that you're associating content creators and their views with what the red pill is. And so maybe we can get in what you think the red pill actually is.
Sure.
So you say that the red pill is making men stay single and stay miserable, et cetera, et cetera. We can get into that too.
I would argue that's precisely what feminism does.
I actually didn't say that red pillars were degenerates. And I'm guessing that you're referencing the Pearl Davis debate.
No, you said this on your channel. You were talking to a gentleman on your own channel. I can't remember. He was talking on an iPad. You didn't like the sound. It was something you posted, I think, Tuesday.
Okay. Yeah. So
we're going to figure out what's good with the banners and the chat and all that stuff. So
there are a lot of degenerates who are red pillars, but I wouldn't make the claim that the red pill to me is just a descriptive packet. And you say that Andrew wants feminism to be destroyed at the expense of men. It's the opposite. I want feminism to be destroyed because I think that protects and helps and assists men. So I'm talking about a gender divide. What I'm disassociating is that there needs to be, when I say gender divide, women in the role of female gender roles and men in the role of male gender roles. So that's the divide I'm looking at. No, I'm not looking at a divide of like men and women not being close to each other. I'm looking at the divide of I don't want sameness when it comes to gender roles, because that's really bad and it does not suit society very well. So
Clearly.
kind of with that, I'm happy to just kind of dive into whatever you want here.
Sure. So I know you say the red pill is kind of this ideology, but red pill,
Not an ideology.
whatever word you used.
It's a packet.
It's a
descriptor
data packet. I've heard you say that. I understand.
You can't say, well, when you say X, but you didn't say X. Like, well, whatever. That's what you're starting on with what he said, and then you said what he didn't say.
But the only way that message is really disseminated is often through these big content creators. Most of the people come across a red pill from things like Fresh and Fit, Andrew Tate, this channel. That's how that packet is distributed, and there are prescriptive messages.
How did they come across it?
I don't know. The internet is the internet. The algorithm.
Do you think they made it up?
Do I think who made it up?
That those red pill creators that you're talking about, do you think that they just made all that stuff up?
No, I don't. I think there's too many similar messages for it to be made up.
Yeah, so there's like sources for this stuff, right?
Wherever they're sourcing it from, I'm not sure, but they're disseminating it.
The game, Neil Strauss, right? That's where it all started. And of course, the Godfather, Rollo Tomasi. Guys, why are you so quiet? We got the chat up and Nick is the only one talking. Let's get that shit rolling. There we go. We got Nilo in the building. Welcome to the party. Very good to see you. We also got TV Viewerski. There we go. Oh my goodness. Do we got did we start on our swole goal already? TV Viewerski coming in hot, biting time. So the thing will tell me that we've got a new sponsor of the stream. Thank you, TV Viewerski, for the $10 super chat. Of course, every donation comes with a treat for Morty. Thank you very, very much. Of course, that makes you the new sponsor of the stream. And don't forget about that swole goal, guys. We are back down to 10 push-ups. And maybe if I'm feeling it, Morty can get some peanut butter. Let's see. Welcome to the party, guys. Nick said, who would have ever guessed that it's better for men to be men and women to be women? What's the chances of that? I know, crazy things. Reality stranger than fiction, right?
Made up.
Yeah, so welcome there's like sources for this stuff, right?
It's wherever they're sourcing it from. I'm not sure, but they're disseminating
like one such source would be a guy, his name is Rollo Tomasi. The Godfather, the red pill. He's going to be pissed that I said that because it's like an ongoing meme, but he calls it praxeology, right? Praxeology. So if it's praxeological from his perspective, he's saying there's no prescriptions here, right? It's not designed around prescriptors. It's designed around descriptors. So if you're going to criticize the red pill, you should probably start by criticizing the descriptors. But if you wanted to criticize individual content creators for their prescriptions, I think that that's fine. But that's not the red pill. The red pill is a data packet of descriptions which are trying to express and explain interpersonal sexual dynamics between men and women.
I think the gentleman you mentioned, most people haven't heard of. I think most people have
heard of them.
I think most of the people are getting their
information
from the millions of subscriptions to Fresh and Fit and whatever. And
Fresh and Fit, he goes on often. They have a very close
Myron Gaines, I'm sure, is much more popular than him.
Yeah, well,
that's not the point. The point is you're saying that they're just making these things up and they're not talking to the source. And then he says, and he brings on the source, like, well, that's the second time you've said something that immediately had to be thrown away because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
The thing is like, maybe, but Myron Gaines is not. Are you saying he's the red pill?
I think he's one of them.
Okay, so what is, let's start with that.
It's one of the pills. Myron is the red pill and Fresh is the blue pill.
What is the red pill?
I consider it content that claims to reveal the truth about women but promotes misogyny and male victimhood.
Okay, so you think that the descriptors do that?
I think the content creators that are prescribing what the red pill is.
So it's about content creators.
Sure.
You just think that, so there's just content creators who you disagree with their message.
So we very, very often can be frustrated at whether it's Andrew himself or other people getting, down into the weeds with semantics, but especially if it's at the very beginning of the discussion. And if you're talking to somebody who comes from a very different worldview than you, it is extremely important to understand what it is that you're discussing. And sometimes that means nailing down definitions that you might think are very basic. And so what you can do in that situation to avoid this, going down this rabbit hole, as a lot of people like to call it, most people would just call it, setting the definitions for the discussion. But what you could do is say, okay, well, we probably have definitions. So when I say X, I mean Y. Now it's established that Andrew or whoever else can't go down this. Well, if you say this means that, then that means that, and that means that, and that. And well, what does that mean? And what does that mean? Just say, when I say this, I mean that.
So it's about content creators.
Sure.
You just think that, so there's just content creators who you disagree with their message.
The majority of the red pill content creators, I disagree with their message.
So first it was about feminism. Then it was about the red pill. Now it's about red pill content creators.
Well, okay, well, what's the majority? Like, how many do you think there are?
The most popular of the bunch. The ones that have the most viewers, subscribers.
Okay, so who are these guys that you're talking about?
Fresh and Fit is a big one. Andrew Tate is another one.
Okay.
And the Whatever Podcast is another one.
And I will say, I am not a regular viewer of the Whatever Podcast, though, some great clips come out and some great debates as well. We've covered a number of them before, but not a regular viewer. I don't like Fresh and Fit anymore, and I don't really watch any red pill content anymore. And a lot of it is because of the types of reasons that Soy Boy here is bringing up, but it's just in a very different context, and I'll explain as we get there.
Fresh Fit, Tate, and Whatever. So here's an easy one. I guess let's start with Whatever because I'm pretty familiar with the content here. So what is the message that's being put out there?
There's a lot of misogynistic messages that come out of this podcast. And
let's start with what is misogyny? Misogyny
is the hatred or dislike of women, the active dislike of women.
Plural women.
Yeah, correct. The entire gender.
So not that.
Yep. I mean, I used to cover Andrew a lot, and even we can go back. The very first thing with Andrew Tate that I ever covered was a conversation between him. I think Sneeko might have been there, and what's that Spurgy dude? XQC. And when we started talking, I didn't know, like, he wasn't as big as he was as he is now, but he had a lot of notoriety in that space. And I was always saying that it is very obvious that if you're going to be that kind of guy, that you're going to have allegations of things like the things that he's accused of now. You're going to have those things be thrown around by haters. But also it might be very likely that being somebody like that, you are actually doing those things. So from the very start, I left it open, and I was looking at discussing the points that he was making, not saying, oh, this is an amazing person that we should all love. And that's why I felt totally comfortable once it got to the point where, like, oh, you're straight up admitting to doing this, that, and that on camera. Then you're just not somebody I want to cover anymore. And again, sometimes there are situations like when he came back to the U.S. and he was on PBD. I felt that was important enough to discuss. But other than that, I'm not just going to be like, oh, yeah, Andrew Tate, yeah. Sorry.
Good women.
Plural women.
Yeah, correct. The entire gender.
So not the active dislike of a woman.
No, not typically.
So it's just women.
Yeah.
Okay. So misogyny is the active hatred or dislike of women.
Yeah.
Got it. All right.
Women in general.
And Fresh and Fit is another big helper to that.
Let's start with Whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. So what is the misogyny or the dislike of women, which is promoted on this channel?
Notice how he wanted to slip right on by that without actually offering any misogyny.
It's presented as a dating podcast, but it's really not. The top.
Is it? I mean, I would argue that, what is that? The balloon thing is a dating podcast. I don't think that this is a dating podcast. When has it ever been, oh, come here so that either you can find somebody to date, or we're only talking about the process of dating. It's much wider than that.
Topics that typically come up on this podcast.
What makes it not a dating podcast?
I'm about to go into that.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
A dating podcast should not discuss whether or not women should be submissive, whether women should vote. On Sunday show, you ask women how many pumps after they tell you to stop is it grape. That's not a dating podcast. That's one of the craziest questions I've ever heard.
I mean, that crazy question doesn't mean not dating, but again, these are directly related to dating. I don't understand where you're coming from. Shout out to Pete Dog and Night. Welcome to the party. Very good to see you, brother. Also got a channel that you guys should definitely go check out. I'll drop that link in the chat for you guys. Welcome to the party. We also got our boy King Nirvana. Welcome. Said that's what the host always calls it, is why he's probably saying that. But you're right. Okay, fair enough. I mean, if you're going to call yourself a dating podcast, even if you're not really about strictly finding dates, then fair enough. Fair enough. Nick said, you don't have to be a feminist to be in favor of supporting women. You just have to be a decent man. It's easy for those of us who actually love women to support them. Bingo. Exactly. TV said it ain't about the pumps. It's about the distance. There you go. So I was about to say you can ask crazy questions, still be literally anything. Yeah. So that the next thing there is, what is the definition of a dating podcast? What makes a dating podcast and what makes something not a dating podcast? Shout out to John. Welcome to the party. Why are you upset? Cheer up. It's party time.
They tell you to stop. Is it grape? That's not a dating podcast. That's one of the craziest questions I've ever heard. You basically say divorce hurts men. Marriage is pointless. I don't know how that's helping your audience. I don't know how
Does he say marriage is pointless?
military conscription has anything to do with a dating podcast. I don't know how, guests being shown a submissive ex-girlfriend and saying, would you bow to your husband? Would you bow to your husband? That's not a dating podcast. That is promoting hatred of women and misogyny as well.
Okay. Now I'm starting to understand. So by saying the notion of submission, meaning that we are not exactly equal in every single way, he sees that as hatred and misogyny and oppression. That's where he's coming from. And so he's saying that even though it is a very common thing for, even if you're not going to use the word submission, because I agree that submission, just like the term high value man, that's not something real people say out in the world. That's a red pill thing. But the sentiment, the notion still exists in the real world. And it's the red pillars, among others, who are putting the terminology to it. And so, again, even if you don't like the word of submission, the idea that you don't want to have to come home to some bitch who's nagging in your ear all the time is a very, very, very common thing for men to want. Oh, no. Are you okay? We can take some time. And make sure you're okay, because that is not okay. So I'm not homophobic, but that dude is so gay and shitty. Well, I mean, whether he's gay or not, he's definitely shitty. TV said, to be honest, everything he said struck me as being talked about on a podcast, and a dating podcast nonetheless, right? Yeah, well, and exactly, even the most extreme example that he wants to bring up, like how many pumps before it's rape, like, okay, maybe that's not the most family-friendly question, but it is talking about consent. I'm sure your Women on Men podcast would love the discussion about consent. No? Should we not be talking about consent? All right, our job today is to make sure John can recover from Chase Oliver. We got this. John, we got you. We are a community. We will help you out, brother.
Guests being shown a submissive ex-girlfriend and saying, would you bow to your husband? Would you bow to your husband? That's not a dating podcast. That is promoting hatred of women and misogyny as well. Female guests are pressured to reveal their body count and then mocked. If they don't reveal...
So we're going with the Gish Gallop. We're going 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4, and then 5, and then 6, and then 7. Smartly, Andrew's writing all down so he can very easily just go, this, done, this, dumb, this, wrong.
They're interrogated until they reveal. Women with OnlyFans are moralized and told to quit. Male promiscuity is excused and celebrated. Women are asked about their peak looks, age, and questioned incessantly. Segments like Man, Bear versus Woods mock women's very real fears about male violence.
Except they're not very real, because they fear an average man more than a fucking bear. Not real fears. Shout out to Amanda Price. Welcome to the party. Oh my goodness, you guys are in shambles. John's dealing with Chase Oliver. Amanda's got the flu. All right, I got my work cut out. I will make everybody feel better with the power of the Overlord. Oh, come on. With the power of the Overlord. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. Everybody is going to be happy and laughing and loving by the end of this.
Segments like Man, Bear versus Woods mock women's very real fears about male violence, even though statistical realities are ignored and dismissed as irrational.
Guys, can we get those likes up, please? 1 like equals 1 end to feminism.
The super chat roast. The guests love to shit on these women every chance they get. And on this show, feminism and women are blamed for most of men's problems.
Then why do the women keep going on the show? It's almost like they get something out of it.
Do you have a copy of that? I'd like to see it, the thing. Because you just shotguns a bunch of points, and Andrew, you want to go
have it
one by one?
I also have peer-reviewed studies if you want those too.
Yeah, if you have any, especially if they have a meta-analysis, I'd like to see them.
And just to be, before you give your response, Andrew, my understanding here for the debate was primarily going to be about feminism, not specific criticisms of the.
Well, I mean, this is
Brian catching strays. He's like, yeah, I'll host a debate on feminism. Here's why you're an asshole, moderator.
Or about manosphere and red pill.
Yeah. So this is, I'm actually fine with this. Right. So, why it's not really a dating podcast, whether women should be submissive. Why, I don't understand. Why would that not be relational to dating?
What does submission have to do with dating?
Well, because dating is
What is submission? Like, what do you mean? What is that? I don't even know how to answer that. It has everything to do with dating. What is dating? Dating is 2 people coming together and navigating life together. Submission is a very huge part of that. Shout out to Amanda Price again with a treat for Morty. So let us all bow down to the Overlord. The Overlord he is. Thank you, thank you, thank you so very, very much, guys. That's 2 out of 15 and 12 out of 50. Let's hit that swole go, baby. Thank you, thank you, thank you so very, very much. We also got our boy Dylan Soup. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. Live without the society you hate so much. Oh no, yeah, they want to create everything in the way that they want it that won't work, but then have everyone else fix it because they messed it up. But actually, it's not their fault because feminism. He said, true story. I had a short of a grizzly bear released from a trailer. I paused it and asked my gal who's sitting next to me. She said, man. I hit play, and in 2 seconds, the bear destroyed the camera. Unsurprisingly. I think I know exactly what, I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch of clips like that, but I think I've definitely seen that. But at least she changed her mind. At least she changed her mind. Yeah, that's like basic dating talk. Like, I don't know what else you could consider as dating talk. I don't know. Let's take a break real quick. If you guys are enjoying the show, the party rages on 24/7 over in our Discord. The link is pinned to the top of the chat and is absolutely free to join 24/7. We're in there hanging out, having a great time. And guys, it is absolutely free. However, if you are a member of this channel here on YouTube, you can scroll right below that video and hit that join button. Starts at $2.99. There's a few different tiers, but $2.99 will get you in. It gets you members only live streams here on YouTube, all that other good stuff. But it opens up the full Discord server. So we've got the free chat that is open to anyone. Anybody can join and talk. But as you can see, that is just one of our channels. There's a bunch of different channels here, including our Disciple chat for members only, our Word of the Day watch party, where we're talking about all this stuff. And of course, we have the voice channel here, where we are hanging out at this moment. Shout out to everybody in the Discord server. Say hello and tell them to come and join. There you go, guys. Simple as that. See you there. And of course, don't forget, guys, that if you join the free link pinned at the top of the chat, you not only get to be part of the free chat, but I will give you a day pass for the entire server, including that after party. Come on through. Nilo said, I think this dude would like the conversation about submission better if it was just framed around consent. I completely agree. Johnson, consent is pretty silly. I'm gonna disagree. Consent to the things you think are reasonable to consent to. Very coherent. Well, yeah, but I mean, what's the silly part? It's simple, but what's silly about that? Amanda said the man versus bear is such a stupid concept. Whoever came up with this is delusional. No, whoever came up with this is fucking brilliant, because women across the platforms all around the world overwhelmingly chose the bear, demonstrating how stupid the perception of men that women have actually is. So it's a brilliant demonstration of how out of touch the average woman is. Thank you, buddy. Just imagine thinking you wouldn't immediately regret choosing the bear if it actually happened. That's why it's brilliant. That's why it's brilliant. Diving right back in.
To dating.
What does submission have to do with dating?
Well, because dating is especially on a dating show, you would be significantly talking about people's preferences when it came to the social experiences they're having with the opposite sex.
You're not talking about your preferences. You're talking about their preferences. Because when you talk about submission, you're talking about.
Well, you'd be talking about both, because that's relevant to dating.
Well, from your worldview, women should be submissive.
Okay, but what from their worldview, they could also have maybe a counter to that why they shouldn't, or also a lot of them say yes they should. So the idea here for submission, especially, would be I don't see how that's not dating related.
I don't know how submission comes up on any sort of date. I don't know if you've ever been on a date in the
well,
last
if you're
20
asking,
years.
so okay, so if I ask you,
so because you're not talking about it, there's absolutely nothing in dating dynamics that is not explicitly stated out loud. See how stupid that is? When you actually understand how to articulate your sentences, you don't say stupid shit like that.
what type of woman do you want?
Mm-hmm.
And
To have sex, John. Again, we're talking about dating. Yeah, right. Oh no, a horny bear. That Listen, imagine choosing the bear. The bear rejects you or says, just get back in the kitchen. Good one. Good one. Good one. Dilly to that. Guys, you know I hate begging for likes. Let's just get 3 more likes. We got 10 people here and 3. Let's just double that.
so okay, so if I ask you, what type of woman do you want?
Mm-hmm.
And you go through the traits and you say, I'd also like a submissive woman. Does that make sense to say as a trait?
Sure. I don't know many people that would just offer that up as one of the first things they want in a woman, but maybe those are the people you hang out with.
Who said is the first? If I'm
You
asking,
just said if you
Nobody said first.
ask
if
somebody,
I'm asking what's your dynamic, and one of the answers is a submissive woman.
Yeah.
That comes up all the time for men in dating.
okay, in your circles, perhaps.
I mean, no, just in well, how many dating podcast sample sizes do you have here?
I'm on a dating podcast. I made one. I listen to a lot of your shows. I listen to a lot of everything that's out there.
I literally don't know his name. He's wearing the shirt and has said Women on Men is the name of his podcast. I searched and searched and searched and searched. I mean, not that much, but I gave it a couple different Googles. Nobody. And yeah, Neeli is talking about this, but he absolutely says later on at some point, I don't know if we're going to get there, that every preference is reasonable. So it would make sense if he believed that people with other preferences don't exist. But he acknowledges that, yet he still thinks this. I don't get it. Johnson, consent isn't the right word then. This is how language gets abused. Okay, fair enough. So then what word would you use to describe the allowing of, we'll just go with a woman allowing a man to do sexual activity to her body? What word would you use for that? It's not dating if you're holding the camera on her. Oh my God, Dylan's on fire tonight.
I'm on a dating podcast. I made one. I listen to a lot of your shows. I listen to a lot of everything that's out there.
I don't understand any of the dating podcasts that come up when you ask men their preference. They've never once says, I would prefer to have a woman who's more submissive.
The topic of submission only comes up on Red Pill podcasts.
No, it doesn't.
That I mean the word. Again, yes, this is a very red pill coded word of submission, but the idea that you don't want a nagging bitch as your wife is not only in red pill.
It doesn't only come up on
Where
Red
else does
Pill
it come up?
podcasts. It's been on Dr.
Light.
Phil. It's been everywhere.
Dr. Phil talks about submission every episode.
of
Every
course.
episode?
I didn't say every episode.
Well, that's what we're talking about.
Straw man after straw man after straw man.
Is he doing a dating
Then
podcast?
don't mention Dr. Phil as a dating show. Then don't mention Dr. Phil as a dating show. That's not a dating show.
You asked where else it's
Dr.
mentioned
Phil as a dating show. That is not a dating show.
Yeah. So in
But that's precisely the point, dude. You're saying it's only on red pill dating shows, but it's everywhere else in the world that's not a dating show. Therefore, it's only on red pill dating shows. What? That'll make no sense.
In any case, any of the dating podcasts that I've seen,
Oh boy, we got a side quest here. What is Amanda sending us here? Oh Jesus, let's see what we got here. Where am I? Russian bear training video. In Mother Russia, bear helps you. All right, Russia, gonna Russia. I mean, good one. Let's dive back in here.
As a dating show, that is not a dating show.
Yeah, so in any case, any of the dating podcasts that I've seen, it's a very common answer to say if they want to
name another dating podcast.
And here's the other thing to dive into this.
Name another dating podcast.
Here's the other thing to dive
Pop the balloon
into this.
Well, you got to name another dating podcast.
Okay, Fresh and Fit happens there all the
Red
time.
pill content, exactly as I said.
Okay, so when you're talking about a dating podcast, what do you mean by that?
Something a little less.
There we go.
I don't know, misogynistic, perhaps.
What does that mean, though?
I've already explained it to you and defined it.
If any
Pulled it up and said hello to your kitty.
man has a dating podcast, is it red pill or
I have a dating podcast and it's not misogynistic.
I see. And let me ask you a question. What kind of questions do you ask on your dating podcast?
I ask them what are their priorities in a man. I ask them, do you have advice for men?
And how many men have you had on?
0. It's called Women on Men.
Oh, I see. So you're a misandrist?
Brava.
Absolutely not.
Well, I don't understand. Why don't you want a man's opinion?
Because I want to ask women specifically. That's nothing. Misandry involves hate, and I don't hate men.
Oh, okay. I got it. So you only have on women.
Correct.
And you don't ask them when you ask them about preferences.
Yeah.
Right. Do they say that they want things like assertive men?
No.
Do they say that they want less assertive men?
I give them a list of 10 traits and say rank these between your top 3 and your bottom 3.
Okay, so you're giving them the answers.
I'm not giving them the answers. They take.
Yes. So if I ask you, okay, which pants, what pajama, y'all know I only wear pants when I'm on camera or leaving the house. So, which pair of pajama pants am I wearing? Am I wearing the gray ones? Am I the gray ones with the controllers? Am I wearing the thin blue ones, or am I wearing the black ones with the skulls? That's giving you 3 answers, and you get to pick which one.
Between your top 3 and your bottom 3.
Okay, so you're giving them the answers.
I'm not giving them the answers. They take a lot of time to think about it.
But you just said you gave them 10 traits.
Yeah, that's not the answers. Those are options.
Yeah, that's the answers that are options you can choose from. So multiple choice.
That's not answers.
Yes, it's answers.
What do you mean?
They're answers, Andrew.
Yeah,
That
you
makes
gave
me
them
happy.
10 answers and say, choose from
And
these.
then they sort them. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that's their
they're
answer.
making them choose from answers that you give them.
Okay.
So you're literally feeding them their answers.
Yeah,
and then
So a great question for Andrew here would be like, okay, so now going forward, why don't you put submission on the list? Or rather, since it's women, put assertiveness on the list. Problem solved. Shout out to Matthew. Welcome to the party. Maybe, but since I'm very much hoping that we hit the swole goal, and I will be right over here doing push-ups, that is probably not a good guess. But you never know. Only way to find out is to feed the puppy. Let's hit that goal. Welcome to the party, brother. Very good to see ya.
That's their answers.
So you're making them choose from answers that you give them.
Okay.
So you're literally feeding them their answers, and then they choose them.
Yep. And they don't come and say, "Man, I wish you would have had this on the list."
Why is it then? Well, how long have you been doing it?
Can we get back to misogynistic podcasts?
If it is the case,
can we get back to misogynistic podcasts? No, we're not.
Case that it is your criticism.
Can we get back to misogynistic?
If you're gonna have criticisms for whatever, I'm gonna have criticisms for your podcast.
You haven't even listened to it, so don't talk about it.
Don't need to. Just based on your description, we can already see the issues with it. Shout out to Swirl's Lambo. Welcome to the party. Shout out to Swirl, who's got a Lambo. I want my Lambo. Welcome. Very good to see you.
Back to misogynistic.
If you're gonna have criticisms for whatever, I'm gonna have criticisms for your podcast.
You haven't even listened to it, so don't talk about it.
Do I need to?
Pull it up and listen
to it from you.
Go ahead, pull it up on YouTube.
I can listen to it.
Go ahead and pull it up on YouTube. You have not watched my podcast, so don't say here. We're not going to critique my podcast.
Why not?
because you haven't even watched it.
Let's watch.
I was gonna say, I think the audience would be totally fine taking an hour out of this 5-hour debate to take 10 minutes, and let's just take the first 5 points that come up. I definitely think that would be something that we can figure out. So, so said this Andrew guy is such a loser. He can't even open a jar. Did you guys see Picklegate? We got another side quest here. Quick side quest. Oh, I forgot to retweet my own stream, guys. In case you did not remember or whatever else, remember that we are live on X and Rumble every single stream. So this is Picklegate that I believe was from yesterday or the day before. I don't know, but either way.
Open the pickle jar.
It's like yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Dude, this seems a little immature. No. For
Hey, the guy
$1,000.
sent $1,000.
Yeah, but it seems slightly immature.
It's all fucking
It's just-
slick now.
Oh, somebody spent in $1,000 to say, Andrew, you open the it's actually an olive jar because the woman can't.
See, it is.
I got to grip it.
Uh-oh, Andrew. If you can't open it either.
Well, your hand greased the whole top of it.
My hand are fine. Here, high five.
It
My
literally,
hand is fine.
it's like, feel it. Isn't that greasy?
It was like that already. Oh my God.
No, it wasn't. You greased the top.
Use
Oh
your
my
shirt.
Jesus,
Use your
Andrew.
shirt.
If you can't open the olive jar, you cannot
Here,
blame my
while
hand.
we're doing olive jar.
If you're so strong, you should open it.
Yeah, I got to be able to grip it.
Okay, we'll grip it. Let's
It's
go.
literally slippery.
Uh-oh.
Grab me a paper towel so I can dry the top of it off.
Okay, once
Well,
the top is dry, if you still
but do
can't
we
get it
now
out.
need to allow her another opportunity with the
Yeah, give her the
towel?
paper towel so
Give her
that.
the
No,
paper
I think
towel.
you should do it, Andrew. You're the big strong man. There you go. Come on.
Here,
Smart
I'm gonna
girl.
let some
I'm
chats-
Grease.
Smart girl.
We got some
Red
chats
Fox
while they're working on
donated
that. Red
$200.
Fox, thank you.
Deontology prioritizes intent, but threshold exceptions introduce consequentialist reasoning.
I'll let
Yeah,
you go
that
first if you want.
No, Andrew, I greased it all up. There you
Rules are
go.
absolute. Introducing a threshold is ad hoc.
Red Fox, thank you for that. Appreciate it.
I can't grip the
What's it called? How do I find it? What's it called?
fucker.
Uh-oh.
Like, I got to have a way to grip it.
Jungle.
Andrew, I'm sorry. It's not.
My fingers slip
What a
right off the
backfire.
lid. My fingers are literally slipping off the lid. I just can't grip it.
You know what? Maybe the olive jars are harder than the pickle jars.
They're not hard to open, but I can't grip
Oh,
the fucking
me?
thing.
I mean, you get the point there. But do we miss a couple here? Yeah, you can't even open the jar. Poor Andrew. And I mean, obviously, does that prove anything grand? No. But when you are somebody who postures that way, then it's a bad look. It's a bad look. Dylan said, even listen to his podcast. It doesn't sound like it. It does not sound like it at all. Yeah, this guy wants a one-sided debate. Shout out to Gore Frickle. Welcome to the party. So despite the results of this debate, the male feminist is still apparently undefeated against pickle jars, unlike someone. Oh, man. Poor Andrew. Welcome to the party, guys. Let's dive right back
On
in.
YouTube. You have not watched my podcast,
Okay,
so
did
don't
you-
say here. We're not
did
going to
you-
critique my podcast.
Why not?
Because you haven't even watched it.
Let's watch it.
Go ahead, pull it up.
So if we pull
We
up
got
your
45
podcast
minutes.
right now, I can take a
45
look?
minutes. 45 minutes. Put on two
Yeah,
times
yeah.
speed, and then we can critique my podcast.
Yeah.
But until then, tell me about another
Yeah.
Boom. All right. So let's go through some of these chats. We'll take a little side quest at Women on Men, and we'll see what is good. Shout out to Box in the building. Welcome to the party. A resident lefty said, I was a male feminist, but into it for a bit. Didn't take long. Box, I don't really believe they exist. There's definitely exceptions to the rule, but I think most of them not quite. Welcome to the party, guys. What is TV said? I'm not an E-peen of sub. However, this seems staged. Like USAD, money is drying up. You never know. So let's take a look. And of course, I've got the Swole Stream music all ready to go. If we hit that, so it was at women. Oh, that's not the right one. Women on. Got it. All right. So first one or 3 weeks ago, let's go put a 1 or 2. The first one is gonna be 1. This is gonna be 2. Put a 1 or a 2. Which one should we go through? Whoever goes first gets the pick. In the meantime, Dylan said the women, men. Oh, it sounds like a smug twerp holding his friend zone master's purse by day and wanting to creep by night. Yup. Male feminists are the most innocent of men. They get a pass, but they need a good talking to. Maybe a little bit. So we got a 2. We got 2 2s, a 1, and a fight me. So we're gonna we'll go with the let's, you know what, fuck it, let's go with the newer one. Give him an opportunity. Maybe, the first time we just watched my first reaction video and it was less than perfect. So we'll give him a chance. So we're gonna speed this up. We're gonna see what he's got. Oh, Rafael Gomez. Apparently that's his name.
Must be a man today. Of the Church of Jesus. My guest today is Kat Clark. Kat is a relational and somatic coach as well as an interior designer on the island of Kauai. She was raised as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, more commonly known as the Mormon Church, and has recently left the religion and become a student of curiosity, the divine feminine, expanding consciousness and desire. She has 4 children and has been married to her husband Michael for 21 years. Kat is authentic, passionate, conversational, and candid. Hi, Kat. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, let's try to be in as good a faith as possible. Maybe, the first one is always gonna suck. So it's only the second one, but let's see what he's learned.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Kat, in your work as a relational coach, you probably work with a lot of men. Is there a common theme or challenge that comes up for them in relationships?
Why don't you ask the men?
I think there's a common theme in humanity called ego. But I guess when you ask that question, that's the first thing that came to mind is ego.
Ego. Okay. Yeah. Like you said, it is pretty human.
Yeah. Like men are just so bad because of their ego.
Not necessarily just men, but we struggle with it as well. So I'm going to ask the first question for the podcast. What does masculinity mean to you? And not the stereotypes we often hear about, but how do you define it in your worldview?
Okay. Fair question.
I would say, I would just say that for me, masculinity is like the wandering awe. It's the explorer and it's the wanderer and it's the awe seeker. And I feel like that's what true masculinity is.
So it's exploration, it's seeking answers, truth, adventure. Or when you say awe, how do you mean awe?
Well, I think that the awe comes in, especially when the masculine meets the feminine. I think that that's when that moment of like one.
You're defining masculinity and talking about when the masculine meets the feminine in your definition of masculinity.
And seeking really translates into awe, but I feel like the masculine is meant to seek and explore and like build.
What
and
list are you talking about?
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know.
No, I get it. I told Lucy the same thing. I don't have a one all end all definition.
I definitely don't. I claim myself to be an expert, but I love a conversation. Right. I would say I love an idea, any idea.
Yeah. I mean, it's called exploring masculinity because I think that's something we want to do. We just want to explore it. I don't think, I think there's traditional and stereotypical stereotypes of what people think of as masculine. So I like that.
Stereotypical stereotypes. All right, let's jump in a little bit.
Hey, I'm having, people might look at me and be like, she's just having a midlife crisis. Sure. I would say I'm having a midlife awakening or crisis. Like really,
semantic obfuscation.
There's no hierarchy there. Like crisis, awakening, like enlivening, like detriment. There's, good and bad is all a construct. But I'm finally
good and bad is all a construct. Now I agree with the very basic root of that statement, but something tells me that you use that a lot more fly by the seat of your pants than I would.
I can tell you that. I can feel my breathing. I can feel my feelings. And so
there's stereotypical stereotypes and she's feeling her feelings. I should have got the link there. That's only fair, right? When we use people's
content, there might be periods of peacetime where
when we use people's content, we want to be fair. Where's the fucking history? And if you would like to go check out the Women on Men podcast, where women tell you what men think, the link is right there in the chat. All right, what did I miss from you guys? Yeah. Bog said, I'm a moral relativist. It only makes sense. I agree, but again, I don't think that if we drill down on what she actually means, I think it's just like, well, whatever your truth is. Dylan said, talking about men and masculinity with people who are clearly neither of those things is a bizarre concept. It's like having a productive conversation about helping someone without them there. Yeah. Master, she realized her life was in a rut and blamed the church and men. What else would you expect from a feminist podcast. What else would you expect? Come on.
45 minutes put on 2 times speed, and then we can critique my podcast.
Yeah.
But until then, tell me about another non-misogynistic red pill podcast.
Well, I don't think any of those are misogynistic podcasts.
Yeah, of course not.
You got to demonstrate that they.
Okay, right, exactly. You're making the claim. So you have to, obviously, you're on the other side of this debating. So you have to present your argument. You can't just say, yeah, well, of course you disagree with me. Yeah, that's why we're here.
Actually hate these women.
By their actions, by the things, everything that's happening right there.
Yeah, so let's go through some more of these.
When Myron Gaines has a college table that says women deserve less, you don't think that's a little misogynistic?
Is that during his podcast?
He is one of the red pill content creators
I thought,
that we're talking
I had
about.
to be a podcast.
Dude,
I thought I had to be a podcast.
Can you
No,
act
it
like an
doesn't have to
adult?
be a
Can you act
podcast?
like an adult? That is the most childish thing
How
I've
is
ever
it?
seen in my whole
That's
life.
you put you gave me the criteria.
The
bro.
criteria is the content creators,
Oh, it's
including Myron
content.
Gaines. Yes,
Got
I've
it,
always said
got it.
that.
So-
Nothing's changed
So
in my
as
statement.
we're talking about dating,
Actually, it did, because remember, we came in here talking about feminism, then we were talking about the manosphere and red pill in general, and then we were talking about red pill content creators. So you absolutely did change.
podcast, or
Correct.
the idea of
Since
dating.
then,
Correct.
maybe
Is it
not.
also possible there's just not that many?
Yeah, there's not.
What does this one say? Typical stupid mind to wonder oneself what submission has to do with dating. Asking to marry is submission. Only sorcerers deny the relationship, and that's how everything becomes ugly or infiltrated, like our
A lot of red
government.
pill podcasts. The
No,
main
no,
ones-
just dating podcasts.
There's a ton of dating podcasts.
Okay, name some.
Mine.
Name some other ones.
There's a guy named Man We're in Trouble. There's EV Edit. There's
EV Edit's a dating podcast.
Yeah, she talks about dating and men and women.
Is it a dating podcast though?
Yes.
So they have.
This isn't a dating
so
podcast.
So hang on. So they have.
This isn't a
so
dating
hang on,
podcast.
So on EV Edit, they
Yeah.
have every single time they come on, they have multitudes of people on with them, and all they talk
I didn't
about
necessarily
is.
say they have guests. I'm not
Oh.
talking about the format. I'm saying
Oh.
that's what the content that comes up is men and women, and this
Oh.
is not a dating podcast that we're currently
So you're
on.
just talking about, for you, a dating podcast, just anybody who's talking about dating.
This is not a dating podcast that we're currently on.
Well, prove it.
I just did.
How? Let's go through more.
You want me to read them? So here, why don't we do the first one?
I
Whether
mean-
women should be submissive. I don't.
I don't understand
How would that
how would that
not
not? Yeah, actually,
relate
how
to
would that not be a decent question to ask for dating?
Dude, I mean, maybe it's a different spelling, but I just tried to look up what he's talking about. He said EV Edit. Maybe it's EV in it? I mean, we're getting a lot of E from Invincible, but well, I said it, so oh, what is that? I was trying to get the original one, but all right, you get it. But so this is what John was saying. Submissive is not a fit word. Fair enough. So then what word would you like to use instead? Dylan, oh my God, you are on fire. Dylan Soup, bring in fire. Fox said submissive is an unnecessarily loaded word. They should sidestep that. It comes off as a king. Okay, fair. So then what is the better word? What is the better word? I'm with you. That people don't, that women typically don't like the word submissive and submission. I agree with you. But if there's not a better word, then all you're saying is women don't like submission. I'm not asking you to make up a new term. I'm asking you what term instead that exists that refers to submission as we discuss it. You're saying it's unnecessarily loaded. What is not a loaded one? You think you think the liberals are gonna be I need an obedient woman. That sounds like 6 of one, half a dozen the other to me. But to your point, like, what word would you like? But helpful is not the same thing. That's not the same thing as submissive. That's not the same thing as obedient. Those aren't the same words. That's the reason why the words that are used are used.
I don't get
Do
it.
you ask that on your first dates?
What if a woman would be submissive?
Yeah.
No.
Exactly, because it's not a dating question.
Why would that? Wait, hang on. Let's back up. Let's assume for a second that anything that I would ask a woman on the first date isn't something you would ask a woman on the first date. What does that prove?
I'm saying the things you guys do. How, do you think you're going to look
can you
better in 10 years?
answer-
Do you think you're
answer
going to
my
look better in 10
question?
years? Is that something you ask on a
Answer my
date?
question.
What's your body count?
Can
Do
you
you ask that on the
answer-
first
can you-
date?
can you answer my
Do you ask
question?
what's a body count on
Can
the
you-
first date?
No, but do you care about on the first date? Yes.
Or before you start
Yeah,
shotgunning,
you had different questions.
Before you start
had different
shotgunning questions,
You
just-
had different questions.
I'll never answer one of yours if you never answer one of mine.
Go ahead, Andrew.
So here we go again. What does it actually prove? What does it prove that if I asked a whole sequence of different questions from you on my first date, what does that prove?
Yeah, you're not asking these questions on your first
Can you
date.
answer my question?
I just did.
What does it prove?
No,
It
you
proves that
didn't.
you're not asking these questions.
So
on
it
your
doesn't
first
prove
date.
anything?
It does prove it.
So if you were to ask, this is the Sam Harris school of thought. If things were different, then things would be different. If you asked different questions, then you would be asking different questions. What are you talking about, bro?
First date, what does that prove?
Yeah, you're not asking these questions on your first
Can you
date.
answer my question?
did.
What does it prove?
It proves that you're not asking these questions.
So
on
it
your
doesn't
first
prove
date.
anything?
It does prove it.
What does it prove?
That you're not asking these kinds of
So
questions
what
on
is
your
it-
first date.
So what is that proving outside of that?
It proves that these.
So I understand what Andrew's doing here, and that he'll just that soy boy will just repeat himself over and over and over and over and over and over and over by looking stupid, by acting like well, they're different questions. If you wanted an actual answer, you're gonna say, I understand that's what you're saying. What I'm asking you is, what is the significance of those questions being different? But I mean, if you're gonna let him hang himself, then I'll go for it.
Asking these kinds of questions
what
on
is
your
it-
first date.
So what is that proving outside of that?
It proves that these are more
Does
misogynistic
it also
questions.
hang on? Does it also prove that I don't ask any other questions other people would ask that you're not asking
I
here?
have no idea if it proves
Like
that or
it's
not.
just so stupid, dude. It proves
Yeah.
nothing.
Okay.
What does it prove?
What do those questions prove?
Nothing. They don't prove anything.
Okay. This is just a pure dating podcast.
Dating is about your preferences, anecdotes, experiences.
Yeah, it's about
things
how
that you
many
want.
pumps after she says stop is grape. That's a dating
Do
podcast.
you think that
So Boggs says, I still arrive at helpful right now, and fair enough. But what you have to understand here is that if you're in a conversation about wanting a woman who is submissive, maybe that's not something that you personally would think of, but that is a very common thing. And so if you, who is, I don't want to say offended, like, oh, you're crying, but obviously you don't like the usage of the word obedient or submissive. And so in the moment, if you can't even think of something, why would you expect that other people who don't have an emotional connection to that word, it's just a description of how this person exists in the world. What it sounds like you just don't like the word. Okay, dutiful. I don't hate that. That's a good one. How does that strike you, Box?
when people
Hold on, answer that
Yeah,
question,
I'll
Andrew.
answer it.
I don't think you are.
you have to stop talking.
I
or I
am.
can't answer it. So stop talking.
Okay.
And I'll answer it. Is it the case that when you have half a dozen people who are sitting at a table and they're building a rapport with each other, that they crack jokes?
You think that's a joke?
Yeah.
How many pumps after a woman says stop is it grape is a joke?
Yeah.
Who laughs at that?
I did.
Lots of people. I think it's funny.
I'm not surprised you
I
think it's funny.
fucking
I think
funny.
you think it's funny. I'm sure you think it's funny.
It is funny.
Because-
Do you know why it's funny? What makes it funny?
Because you're a little misogynist.
The absurdity that you're not actually misogynistic, and that it is the context of a man and wife. It's called irony or satire. Shout out to Tag. Welcome to the party. Yes, Papa Wilson, tell us how to mend. Well, I mean, I think no matter who you are, I think that we could all agree that for all of his flaws, Andrew Wilson is a better person to tell you how to be a man than this fruitcake. I don't know. Just let's see. Yeah, Box said dutiful is better than submissive. We all have duties. They are important. I would prefer to have a helpful companion. And that is your right to have that preference. But what if I've got all my shit locked down and I'm rich as fuck and I've got people paying, I can pay people to do whatever it is I want you to do, whatever I need done. And what I want from you as a woman and a wife is not to be doing things, but to just be there for whatever it is that I need. And I will provide you with whatever it is that you need materially. And then emotionally, it's more, a little bit more equal. But the point is that you don't have an issue with the concept. You have an issue with the word, which is fair. But if you don't have a better word, then that's your problem, not anybody else's. And beautiful, fair enough. That is I agree. That is a better word. But from here, then you understand that when somebody says submissive, especially when they're coming from the red pill space, that dutiful is all that they mean. That's all that we mean. Contact said, who would you rather take man advice from? Oh, this is going to be a poll. We are turning this into a poll.
I think you think it's funny. I'm sure you think it's
Oh, I forgot we already had a poll. So a running poll. Have you ever met a genuine male feminist? And 67% of you said no. Nope. They're just trying to get laid. And I agree.
Lots of people. I think it's funny.
I'm not surprised.
I
You
think
think it's funny.
fucking
I think
funny.
you think it's funny. I'm sure you think it's funny.
It is funny.
Because-
Do you know why it's funny? What makes it funny?
Because you're a little misogynistic.
No. It's because a feminist on this program a few months ago.
I remember. I saw it.
Yeah. So So it's a callback to that.
It's not a callback to that.
Yeah, it's a callback
What
to
do
that.
you mean? No, it's not. Like, what? You can't just accuse somebody of. What's the point of talking to somebody if when they say a thing, you're just gonna say that they're lying? If you don't believe that they are there in good faith, then what point are you? What can you do?
That was not about stopping.
Yeah, it was about consent.
Yeah, but that was about your wife sleeping and you banging her while
It's
she's
about
sleeping.
consent.
But that does. If she says stop and you keep going, is that consent?
The idea there is how long after are you violating consent? That's the idea.
Yeah,
for
that's
it.
a dating podcast topic,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
Yeah, of course. People talk about that all the time, right?
Do you think that in this modern age, where intersexual and interpersonal dynamics,
Shout out to the Godfather. If he was here, that would be no question. No question. But R.I.P. Well, so I had my first kid at 25. I didn't know which way was up. Yeah, that seems to be how it works, right?
that in this modern age, where intersexual and interpersonal dynamics between men and women are so fucked up, and they are fucked up,
And you're contributing.
right? Do you think that the idea, when you have tons of people who are out there talking about consent, do you have feminist academics who are talking about if two people are drunk and they have sex, are actually technically raping each other, right? Do you to ask during a dating podcast in modernity?
I absolutely believe it's inappropriate to say
Why?
how many pumps after a
Yeah.
woman says stop is it grape.
Yeah, why?
That is inappropriate.
Why?
Because it should just
Well,
be
how
after
many?
she says stop.
Tell me how many.
I'm not going to answer that question.
You're not going to answer it?
No, because it's a stupid ass
Well,
question.
I don't know. I think
Is it a stupid question, or are you scared to answer a stupid question? Because I could ask you a stupid question like, why didn't you wear your shirt backwards? And you would very easily answer, because I like it forwards and it cuts off, it's too high in the front because the back is higher than the neck. That's a stupid ass question, but I'm pretty sure that you would answer that if asked. Gonzaga said, I'm honestly conflicted with my own question. It is a tough one. It is a tough one. Alex said, I like that no one has voted for Crowder yet. That's how you affect the results, my friend. TV said, oh, Andrew caught the you're kidding me remark. Watch his eyes. Let's go back a little bit.
Appropriate to say
Why?
how many pumps after a
Yeah.
woman says stop is it grape.
Yeah, why?
That is inappropriate.
Wait, who? Andrew's eyes or Soy Boy's eyes?
why?
Because it should just
Well,
be
how
after
many?
she says stop.
Tell me how
I'm
many.
not going to answer that question.
You're not going to answer it?
No, because it's a stupid ass question.
Well, I don't know. I think it's a fair
Of
question.
course you do, because you're misogynistic.
What's misogynistic about it?
Because that is grape. You're talking about grape in such a
How
lighthearted
does-
manner.
how does
I
that-
just answered the
I missed it. I don't know what we're talking about. Matt King said, don't know enough about Andrew to answer this question. I would take Matt over Steven because he's still married. Fair enough.
question.
How does that prove I hate women?
Dude, we can go down the list of things you've said.
Look, go down the list.
Out of your 5,000 debates.
Go down the list.
Do you like women at all?
love them?
Oh, you love them.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know how
It's
I
so
know?
funny to talk about
You know
grape.
how I
It's so
know?
funny.
Do you know
The
how I
fact
know
that
I
you
like
would
them more
laugh-
than you?
The fact that you would laugh at
Yeah.
a grape question shows that you don't like women.
I laugh. Oh, hang on. Are you saying I hate men because I laugh about prison grape?
No, you don't hate
I don't
men.
get it though.
You don't
That's
hate
a double
men.
standard.
You don't
though.
hate men. You love
Wait a
men.
second.
You
Wait
only
a second.
care about men. You
So if
only
I
care
make
about
light of a man getting raped,
men. Yeah. You don't see
that's fine.
you don't see it the same.
And it's not.
You don't see it
I
the
don't.
same.
How do I see it? You tell
because
me.
you see women as so much less than.
Prove it. I'm looking for the demonstration, not the assertion.
Just watch
Just
Andrew's
watch the
videos. Just watch
assertion.
Andrew's
You can
videos.
prove- oh,
just watch Andrew's videos.
Just
and if you don't
watch
see
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no proof, no
There's
evidence,
a million
just watch.
Yeah, no, I'm making it up. I'm making it up.
So just tell me.
You should be like, my show is just like porn. You'll know it when you see it. Shout out to Lockborg. Welcome to the party. Very good to see you. We've also got our boy Richard. Welcome. Said Walsh and Wilson come across as real people. Steven Crowder does not. I agree. And so have you seen any of Andrew's wife's debates? She is quite the badass. Yes, I actually engaged in one of them. According to Uncensored America, they are eventually going to put that out, even though it was recorded, 3-4 months ago at this point. But yes, I did debate Andrew Wilson, and his wife came in for a little bit. And we will definitely cover that when it comes out. But keep a lookout. And yeah, crazy. I mean, I would call it a lack of logic. Hey, shout out to Stephen Palto. Welcome to the party. Said I voted for Andrew, but the more I think about it, I should have voted Matt. Matt doesn't put too much light on his own marriage compared to Andrew, which I think is better in the long run. I agree with that. T said I voted Matt. To be fair, Rachel seems pretty cool. I've never seen Matt's wife. Yeah. So he's I'm sure you've seen Rachel Wilson around. You might not know her by name, but I'm sure you've seen a clip of her from somewhere, probably from the whatever podcast. But the only difference there with, like, I wouldn't pick Crowder, so it's between Matt and Andrew for me. But the fact that Matt seeing, like everybody's saying, that Matt seems to have his family life, locked down. His political opinions can be a little out there sometimes, but in terms of his family, seems like he's pretty on point. And yeah, that's her Twitter thing there.
Let's watch it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no proof, no evidence. Just watch.
Yeah, no, I'm making it up. I'm making it up.
So just tell me real quick, how can you affirm that I hate women because I might make light of a grape joke for women, but I don't hate men if I make light of a grape joke for men?
I'm not sure.
I know you're not sure, because that makes no fucking sense. So moving on to the next one. As we go through this, whether women should vote. So in modernity, women's voting habits, right, have a lot to do with the modern state of society, don't they?
Sure.
And they have to do with the state of people.
Emotional damage here. So I once knew a guy who talked like this dummy. He's now divorced, happily broke, while his wife is living in his house and driving his car. He still feels content in his life because he gets to pay her half his salary and lost custody of his kids. Such a proud feminist. Yep.
Don't they?
Sure.
And they have to do with the state of people who want maybe patriarchy, or they want highly religious women who allow men to lead, or women who will turn over their ability to vote to their own husband and say, you just tell me where to vote.
Yeah.
Shout out to Nick, the best moderator ever. Ever. 1 like equals 1 like for Nick. Forget about me. 1 like equals I like Nick. And I see Amanda again with a little side quest.
How do you feel with?
Let's see what we got.
How do you feel with your husband, like, making these comments, saying rude things to women, or like screaming over them?
Well, he doesn't say rude things to women until they say something rude to him first. Bangs was the first one to say, he's got wrinkles.
Yeah, that's who we're talking about.
And he's old and he's got gray hair. And he's gross. So of course he's going to say something back. And they've had exchanges back and forth before. And she's plenty happy to be rude and say mean things to him first. Everyone thinks that's okay because she's a woman. But if Andrew just simply gives her a taste of her own medicine back, you all go, you believe he said that? And it's like, why? Why is it fine for her to insult him, but it's uncalled for when he just simply gives it back to her? What's wrong with that?
I have a question for you too. He said that you're getting worse with age. How do you feel about that?
Well, I've been on the show myself and I'm 44 years old. I've had 5 kids. So no, I'm not as hot as I was when I was 22. The time of your life that you're hot is short and it's limited. You're not going to always be a hot chick.
Yep. Now, I do think that she kind of, I have my issues with the way that they all interact and stuff, but it's not relevant enough to bring up here. Before we dive back in here, Richard said, abortion, transgenderism, you can thank female voters for that. Yep. Buck said, paying for kids you don't get to see is the worst feeling. It goes against everything natural. Yep, I have a very, very, very specific side quest for this when it comes up. And if we don't get there, I will skip ahead to make sure that we do it. Anything else here? All right, let's dive right back in.
Women who will turn over their ability to vote to their own husband and say, you just tell me where to vote.
Yeah.
You agree with all of that?
Sure.
Okay. So then why wouldn't it be pertinent to ask women what they think about women's voting patterns and voting habits?
Because you talk about revoking the right for women to vote.
So
it's just an easy conversation that people have. Should women vote? That's just something that people talk about around their dinner table, right?
It's okay. Do you think that was an easy conversation when you were talking about whether or not it was okay for white women to vote to date black men?
I think what was an easy conversation?
That conversation.
Sure.
Pre-miscegenation.
It was an easy conversation when we first started talking about interracial dating. That was easy. Now, you guys know that I am a big fan of Love is Blind, even though it's kind of gone downhill in the past few years, but just those Netflix dating shows in general are my guilty pleasure. And still, it is a very common thing, especially on Love is Blind, because you don't get to see the other person, that if a white woman is with a black dude, then there's a big conversation about bringing home a black guy. There's also a big conversation about bringing home a white woman in 2025. But yeah, no, this was an easy conversation.
Who date black men?
I think what was an easy conversation?
That conversation.
Sure.
Pre-miscegenation was a pretty hard conversation,
sure, yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But do you think that it was pertinent to dating at the time?
Sure.
Okay. So then if that was pertinent to dating at the time and they were talking about all the reasons you should or shouldn't do this,
the dangers
and it's
of
a
it.
political ideology,
Yeah.
on both sides,
Mhm.
right? Why is it not appropriate for us to have a conversation about women's voting patterns when it comes to relationships?
It's not women's voting patterns. It's should women vote?
Yeah.
That's not about patterns.
Yeah, it is.
That is a question about women.
Well, how would you
voting.
determine if they should or shouldn't?
I just think everyone should.
Oh, you just think that?
Yeah.
Tell me why.
I don't need to.
You don't need to?
No.
I don't need to. She goes to a different school. I don't need to show you a picture of her. I think Disney ruined an entire generation of men as well. Me being one of them that needed red pill type of content at 30 years old because I didn't realize that women weren't just all sugar and spice and everything nice. So yeah, completely agree. Said, seems to me like a reality TV show would probably stage a lot of stuff like that. I mean, yeah, but in the same way that we talk about TikToks that are just videos in general, it's like, well, this might be a skit. I don't know if this is real. Okay, fair, fine. But what is being portrayed here is something that reflects reality, which is why we're not sure. So whether this particular video is real, because of the fact that we're not sure, means that there are real examples of interracial dating that's not simple. That is the point. And Box, you're still trying to fit it in, working backwards. I didn't say that that we wouldn't want a helpful woman. Nobody said, would you like a helpful woman? Absolutely not. But being helpful does not mean you are being submissive. You've never had somebody, man or woman. What? Come on. You've never had somebody try to help you with something and then they're like, no, you fucking idiot, do it this way. That's being helpful in giving the right answer, but it's not being submissive. I tried to get you to come up here before and you ran away from me.
Oh, okay. So the thing is
loyal is different than submissive. Loyal, helpful, and submissive are all things I would like in a wife. They are all different things. Yes, those are good things. I'm not saying those are not good things. What you're trying to do is replace the word submissive with something that means submissive. Loyalty has nothing to do with submission.
I'll just release you from this. I'll just let you skip out on giving me no justification for why everybody should be able to vote.
I don't need.
What I want to know, I would like to know. You don't need one.
I don't need a justification.
What I would say here is, you do if you want anybody to be convinced that you know what the fuck you're talking about. I don't need to.
A justification. I don't need justification to ask a woman if she thinks other women should have the right to vote in order for me to judge whether or not she's a submissive woman or not.
Sure, but that's not a dating topic. That's just you being political.
I want to judge if she's submissive,
you being political. You guys push your conservative agenda on this channel, and that's what you do.
Do you think that I want to live in it? Well, I do.
Yeah, you do.
But
and
that's not my channel.
Jim Bob. I know, because homie just sits back and chills. Brian's chilling. He's eating popcorn while you ask these questions.
Yeah.
How dare the moderator not be debating?
But I mean, I literally have made.
It's his podcast.
It's never made any qualms that I'm here to represent my worldview.
I know, but it's a dating podcast. Yeah. You're asking these crazy questions.
They're not crazy.
They're absolutely.
No.
Should women vote? Is a crazy question in 2025.
Can I also ask you this? Do you think that men and women and when they're in relationships, get into political arguments often?
Sure.
Constantly, right?
I mean, theoretically, if you're dating somebody with the same values, you're not. But
If you marry,
How do you know if they have the same values if you don't ask about things like voting and submission? Stupid. So it looks like 58% of you said you would rather take, or rather, who among these would be the best to lead men? Andrew Wilson, Matt Walsh comes in second, and only 8% for little Stevie Crowder. Next question. We gonna do it. I like it. And yep, Disney ruined everything.
a woman and she votes against your vote, would that create marital issues?
Maybe, but I don't think you probably would have ever married that person to begin with because you don't have the same
probably not.
values.
You know why?
Because
you asked her what she thought about the right to vote, and she said, "I want women to have the right to vote," and so you didn't fucking marry her. You didn't date her because she doesn't align with you politically. Does that make sense?
Do you know people that do that? Do you know people that say, "I won't marry this woman because she thinks women should vote"?
I won't marry an overly assertive woman who thinks that she's going to be politically dominant in my home. Of course,
it has nothing to do about politically dominant. You said, if I ask a woman, "Do you think women should vote?" and she says yes, I'm not going to date that person.
And then, but hang on. But then you ask her why.
No, I don't ask her why.
I know, but if you were going to date her, you should.
No, because I think women should vote.
I know you think that,
and
you're not
don't.
every man who lives.
Wow, how many men don't think women should vote?
I have no idea, but at least a significant.
You think it's a significant amount?
Yeah, I do.
But give me a percentage.
It's definitely a significant amount. I wouldn't say it's a majority, but definitely significant.
Of how? I have no idea.
Throw it out. You're a smart guy.
That would be impossible.
Throw it out. You're a smart guy. You can assume how many men. Throw out a number. Throw out a percentage in your gut, in your heart of hearts.
I hate when people do this. You're a smart guy, so you should be able to determine how many men do this without any level of study. You're smart, right? Smart people can just know things automatically. That's how I know that you're stupid, because that's what you think of smart people. Well, if I was smart, then I'd be able to just randomly know things. Stupid. Where we at? Dylan said, to quote Xavier from PragerU, open up the schools. To what? Destiny isn't as slimy and can stand on business, even though he's wrong. Okay, I'll agree with the second part. Alex said, I see the gap that needs to be filled here. It's above my language level. There has to be a better word, and fair enough. Maybe there is, but if we can't complain about the accurate word if you don't have a better word. Same thing with the woke right. Matthew said, not everyone should be allowed to vote. Not sure what the criteria should be for sure, but there should be some skin in the game if you're making a choice about the future. Yep. I don't like the IQ test because it doesn't, like, just because you're just because you don't have a high IQ doesn't mean you don't understand what you're voting for. So it would be, I would like it to be more along a civics test. Vivek Ramaswamy was talking about this when he was running, and basically the test that immigrants have to take to come into this country. Something bipartisan, Democrats, and it's not a did Trump do this? No, it's about what are the branches of government? How does a bill become a law? Like that kind of stuff. The trans wokeness. Yep. I think we lost that battle, Lomtech. I think the woke right is the woke right. Yup. All right, let's back in here.
Throw it out. You're a smart guy. You can assume how many men. Throw out a number. Throw out a percentage in your gut, in your heart of hearts. How many men don't want women to vote?
I'll throw that out if you throw out how many do.
Okay,
you first.
How many men want women to vote? I say at least 90%.
Based on
men I know.
Vibes, bro.
So
that's it. Yeah.
So based on anecdotes.
Exactly. Yeah. Just like I'm asking you to do.
Yeah, that's why I wouldn't give you one. Yeah, because I don't deal in anecdotes.
No, we don't deal in anecdotes at all. You deal in anecdotes all the time. But
no, I don't. Unless you're asking me about something anecdotal. Okay. So anyway, there's no reason. There's actually no good reason that you've given me yet for why it's not pertinent inside of a man's dating life if he wants a submissive woman, why she wouldn't be politically aligned with his ideology.
Okay.
So just pointing that out.
Sure.
You actually still haven't given me a reason.
Yeah.
On Sunday's show, you asked, well, I didn't ask this, so I don't know anything about it. How many pumps after a woman says stop before it becomes grape? I didn't ask that.
I know. But that's why this isn't a dating podcast.
Because you made a joke?
That's not a joke.
Yeah, it's a callback joke.
It's like
very clear to me that that's
not. It's not clear because it's a totally different scenario.
Okay. Even though, so you really don't think that that's about consent?
I know what the joke was. I remember.
I thought it wasn't a joke.
I know what the joke was about, but it wasn't a joke. Dude said, I'm viewing lead men as dealing with a catastrophe. Hassan would be dumb enough to try. Destiny and Sam would go and hide with the women, only because he is the dumbest of the three. I don't know. I think if I knew a little bit more about Sam Cedar, then it would be a little bit easier for me to compare because Hassan is at the bottom of the list. Sam Cedar may be worse, but I don't know enough about him. And then, as Guamtech said, if you can stand on business, that's a huge character trait. I think I got to go with Destiny. Let's get a couple more votes in, guys.
I really don't think that's
Hey, you can hit the like button while you're at it.
about consent.
I know what the joke was. I remember.
I thought it wasn't a joke.
Debate.
I thought it wasn't a joke.
I'm talking about the callback. I'm
Okay.
saying this is not a joke
So what makes it not a joke?
because it's not funny.
Oh, so you don't find it funny. So
Nobody
it's not
found
a
it funny.
joke.
Nobody was laughing.
I
Not a single
did.
person
So
laughed.
if I go back,
So again, now we're establishing a logical precedent that it can only be a joke if it is found funny by everyone. If somebody doesn't laugh, it is not a joke, according to Soy Boy.
to that timestamp and I look at it,
Go, please do.
and
Pull it up
nobody's
now.
going to say
Let's
anything.
Pull it up now.
Nobody's going to say anything.
The only person that
Great point. If you're looking for a hookup, none of these things matter. If you're looking for a wife, you should be asking all of these questions. Well said.
kind of chuckle was Brian.
So then it was a joke.
No,
Then why did Brian laugh?
I'm not sure.
Because he thought it was funny.
Perhaps if the joke teller thinks it's funny, that's a problem.
Why?
Because if no one else is laughing except the joke teller, that's a
Why would you make a joke that you don't think is funny?
problem.
That just means it's a bad joke, not that it's not a joke.
Okay, it's so funny. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but I mean, can people tell bad jokes
Sure.
and nobody laughs?
Yeah, bad jokes about.
But
grape
if you
on a
tell the
dating
joke and then
podcast.
you laugh, do you
Bad
think it
jokes
was
about
intended
grape
as
on
a
dating podcast?
Yeah, do you
you're
think it
right.
was intended as a joke?
No, I don't.
So why did he laugh?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's very strange.
Maybe out of awkward, maybe out of insecurity, maybe out of all
Very,
yeah.
very
People laugh
strange.
out in uncomfortable circumstances. You do it all the time.
Yeah,
you do
but,
this, like,
but when
loud
I asked you
chuckle.
why, you said because he thought it was funny.
I said maybe it's insecurity. I have no idea. Maybe it's
Way to change your
nervousness.
answer, bro.
Oh yeah,
What's
I can
the
change
next
my
one on
answer
the
to new
list?
information. How about that?
You got,
What new information? You didn't get any new information.
it's your information. How's it new?
The next one is divorce hurts men, marriage is pointless.
But that's literally the opposite of my message.
No, well, he's saying that's one of the reasons how the show is not a dating podcast.
You're
When
actively,
we talk about divorce,
you're actively
hurting men.
promoting people. You're actively saying why should men get married? That's a common talking point.
No, I
in the
usually ask
podcast.
why secular men should.
Why should anybody get
Well,
married?
this is super important. So this, I don't even think you
Yeah, his whole thing is that it should be only Christians in the context of of holy matrimony.
would argue that this isn't dating related. So the span and spectrum between religious and the
That's what I'm hoping for.
religious who want to get married in their preferences and secularists who want to get married in their preferences, like fucking night and day. And so I always draw this parallel out when I ask religious people, why do you want to get married? Right? Especially religious women. And then you hear this answer, right? I want to fulfill my obligations to God, or I want to, live a certain lifestyle, which is based on my ethical system. That's why I want to get married. Yeah, secularist women, why you want to get married. And oftentimes they'll give you a whole complete class list of, I want more resources, or I would like security, or they're not unreasonable, right? But they definitely have a completely distinction in opinion for why they want to get married. That is, I don't even think you could disagree that that's 100% valid for dating.
I'm gonna try something here. I'll do that.
Talking about marriage is fine. Discouraging is not.
When do I ever
This
discourage
podcast
it?
discourages marrying
When?
all the time.
When have I ever discouraged marriage?
I didn't say you did. I said this podcast.
I have always
Brian's like, not me.
maintained to try to throw you like as much of an olive branch as I can. I've always maintained that to me, I can't create justifications for secular marriage.
Well, by the way, we're also talking about Red Pill and Manosphere. Myron Gaines is also someone else, another popular
He
creator.
also can't create. So I've had conversations with Myron about this.
Yeah.
Okay. He also is in the same boat that I am in that for secularist men, because what Myron says is from the religious standpoint, it makes sense, especially if there's an ecclesiastical authority which can help govern it.
Right.
But he's the same place. Like from the secularist standpoint, justifying it for men is very difficult.
When he's talking about
Conceptually, I completely agree. The only thing that I disagree is that, as I've talked about before, because of the fact that it is now a legal thing and you get tax benefits and stuff like that, you can't keep secular people away from that. But if those, if we just call it civil unions so that you guys keep your magic words, totally fine with that. Totally fine with that. As long as it's the same thing legally as marriage, but it's not technically a marriage because it's not religious, I had no problem with that.
same place. Like from the secularist standpoint, justifying it for men is very difficult.
When he's talking about not getting married, he never caveats it about being secular. He says, why would men get married? They don't get anything out of it. It's stupid. And this is the same message that red pill content creators are promoting to their people. And that's why they are single. That's why they're alone. And that's why they're isolated.
So I'll see some ground here.
Okay.
That he probably does talk like that, but he's a secularist.
Okay.
So when he's referencing men,
Oh no, a secularist.
Right? He's thinking of it from that view.
What does Andrew Tate think about marriage?
Again, what does that have to do with Myron Gaines? One at a time. Don't pivot. Don't red herring.
Wait, and also I just want to come in here. Andrew Wilson is not Andrew Tate. So why is Andrew doing a defense of Andrew Tate?
He's doing a defense of red pill manosphere content.
Yeah,
and they are content creators of that.
I'm fine. I'm fine doing this. So Andrew Tate is looking at things also from the perspective of Muslim, and he's looking at things from, he has a variance perspective that's kind of interesting, but discouraging. I actually understand why it is that secularists discourage marriage for men.
Brian catches another stray. Poor boy. Shout out to CT223. Welcome to the party. So I kind of find these types of debates not productive. They're both representative of an extreme polar opposite sides. I'd rather have a center left and a center right debate. And those do exist, but I think when you get there's different purposes for different styles of debates. And so like you can have an Oxford style debate where it's like you have your opening statement and they have their opening statement and then they have a rebuttal and they have a rebuttal. And that works for certain things. But to be honest with you, I don't think that these guys actually disagree all that much. I think of a lot of it is in the language. And so if they were actually trying to learn about each other as opposed to be entertaining, then, that would be the way to go. But this is more for, low-hanging fruit of just entertainment. And hey, I'm entertained. I am entertained. Welcome to the party. Matthew said that's because most women nowadays are given away without the ring or commitment. The marriage just means the girl gets happier shit if she gets bored and leaves. Yep. Box said the pro-marriage argument is kids. I found out fast. If you are not married when you have kids, the mom is considered a single mom and you have no legal right to the kids. You have to fight for them. No. I mean, okay, so yes, I agree that kids are part of a pro-marriage argument, but the point is that you're supposed to find out before you have the kids that you're not supposed to do that. That the idea of having kids outside of wedlock is exactly what you're saying, that you have to fight for them. So it's not that you shouldn't get married so that you can keep the kids that you already have. You should get married before you have the kids. I know. Crazy thought, but hopefully you'll be back. All right, Amanda, you have a good one. If we don't, see ya.
That makes sense to me, and I actually understand why it is that Tate would discourage marriage for men as well. That also makes sense to me. But since his conversion, he actually seems to discourage it less, but says instead that there needs to be reforms and changes to the way that the laws are done so that men don't take as much risk in marriage.
Okay, so going back to my opening statement, 3 of the biggest podcasts that promote red pill content, whatever, Fresh and Fit and Andrew Tate, most of them, excluding you and Jim Bob, discourage marriage typically. So that's my point that I've been making this whole time, that you guys, these content creators are
So your point is some people say things that I don't like. Okay. And there she is. Rachel Wilson is. And this guy made my ovaries shrivel and die just from listening to his nonsense. He's like the final boss of simps. Take his voting rights. Oh, but that's not funny because the right to vote is very serious, right?
Discouraging men and women from getting together because it benefits them.
But I need you to tell me this now, okay? I'm going to actually concede this point so that you can tell me why the fuck that's bad for men.
Do you think men shouldn't get together with women?
I would love to hear your justifications for why it is that secularist men ought to get married to secularist women? Go ahead.
I think that red pill men, especially the incels of the world, 95% of them report severe depression and they're lonely. So these kinds of podcasts promote people being alone, and that is dangerous to men.
You're right. But have you looked at the unaliving rates for divorced men?
They're high, but
No,
do you know
how much higher?
80%?
Very high. Shout out to equality and deference because vagina. Over on Rumble. Welcome. Said liked and shared. Thank you so very much. You guys know how much that stuff helps the channel. Hitting the like button, hitting the share button. Those are both free and it helps so very much. It doesn't even matter if you think anybody's going to click on the link that you share. Just by you telling YouTube, I want to share this to other people, they will also share it to other people. Thank you. And welcome to the party. Said Andrew's woodchuck doesn't have ovaries anymore. Old lady. I mean, there's, the reason that I meant to say this before when we were talking about the previous poll of I can't wait to hear what Equality has to say about this. So the other poll of who among these would be the best to lead men, Andrew Wilson, Matt Walsh, or Steven Crowder. The reason I went with Matt is because Andrew talks a lot about the, red pill stuff about single mothers and high value this and that. Yet he's not necessarily, the typical high value man. And then his wife, I think, had 2 or 3 children before him. I'm not even positive if any of the kids are his. I genuinely don't know. Just saying. So then, Equality, are you ready for this? So the running poll right now, and guys, we've got 13 people here with only 6 votes. Who among these would be the best to lead men? Destiny, Hassan, or Sam Cedar? Take your pick.
Rates for divorced men.
They're high, but
No,
you know
how much higher?
80% of
How
all
much
unalives,
higher?
80% of all unalives are men. 80% of all unalives are
And
men.
by the way, why didn't you throw in, because you're only giving one side of this, right? I've read probably all of these studies. In fact, you can give me the list. I bet you I have.
You have the list.
Here's what's interesting. In the study that you're citing specifically, especially when it comes to unaliving,
Multiple studies.
Especially when it comes to unaliving, which demographic unalives the most? It's those who cohabitate. The cohabitating men who are unmarried, right? They actually unalive more than the men who are married or the men who aren't married, including.
And that, feeds right into what Box was just talking about, that, if you're in a situation where you're not married and the government automatically just sees her as the single mother and you have absolutely no rights. Shout out to Isaac. Welcome to the party. It said none of the above. Oh, man. We got to pick of the best. Not saying anybody is good. Just the best among the 3 options. No, I can't. Not until you give an answer. Equality said, can you define lead men? Not until you give an answer. You have to interpret what that means and give your interpretation of the best answer there. Welcome to the party, Isaac.
She unalive more than the men who are married or the men who aren't married, including these depressed men. And cohabitation seems to be like kind of the number one thing that secularists push, right? Go ahead and cohabitate and go ahead and live together. There's no reason for you to have any type of moral standards. There's no reason for you not to go ahead and move in with your girlfriend. That's what they push.
Do you know
That's
who's
their
getting
idea.
married more right now than any other demographic?
Who?
College educated people.
Yeah, that's true.
Mostly secularists. So I don't know what you're
So
talking
what?
about.
What
They're
does that have
not
to do with
secularists aren't pushing don't get married.
What does that have to do with anything?
This idea that you're saying secularists have this non-moral code where they're saying just cohabitate, it doesn't matter. That's not what's happening because they're actually getting married.
Yeah, because women who are in college have access to much higher status men than women who aren't in college.
College
Obviously.
educated people are also getting divorced less.
Yes, because you have the high status man that you want who has lots and lots of money. Yes, that's the way that works.
The women are also making a lot of money. Do you know how?
No. So here's the thing that's so funny. Here's what you didn't include here. So when it comes to the middle, right? You're right that the middle class, which I would argue,
You're saying I'm right a lot.
which probably doesn't exist.
I
Right?
appreciate you saying I'm right.
Well, the thing that's so fun about
That's a whole other discussion. But yeah, they're getting married, and the dinks, dual income, no kids.
making a concession to a point is that it makes it easier for me to destroy it.
Oh yeah.
So here's what's funny about this. You are correct that the middle class does get divorced a bit less. Or I'm sorry, get married a bit less, right? In some cases, a lot less, depending on what's going on. But here's why: you can only usually get a guy or a woman based around the social dynamics and social circle that you're in, right?
Sure.
They only have access to women or men who are roughly making around the same amount or not the same amount as them, and usually they meet them at work. College-educated women, different. Now they have access to this kind of wider pool of much more wealthy men. Right. And so, yeah, of course, they marry them more often. They have a higher status there for them to go after. That's why they do that.
I like how you think women are just going after high status men when they make up 45% of the workforce, 43% of entrepreneurs. They're making their own money. Andrew.
Can you tell me, though, what the disparity
And we care so much about you being a girl boss, right?
is between the amount of money that these college-educated women make compared to their college-educated husbands, sir?
I'm not sure, but
Yeah, you're not sure.
They make a lot more.
I'm not sure.
Oh, that's such a shock. Well, let me tell you, because I am sure, right? It's a significant
Why don't you give me a
amount
number
more.
then? If you know so much, give me a number.
Because I don't remember if it's
Oh, it's
between.
significant,
I
though.
don't remember.
See, again, same thing. Oh, you know things, therefore you must know everything. That's how stupid people think. That's how stupid retards think. Look how hungry he is, guys. Let's give him $1.
It's a
Why
significant
don't you give me a
amount
number
more.
then? If you know so much, give me a number.
Because I don't remember if it's
Oh, it's
between.
significant,
I
though.
don't remember if it's between 0.5 or 1, but it's at least 0.5 more.
Okay.
At least.
Okay.
So like I don't even
So
know
what's
what
your
you're
point?
Your phone's right there. Just use fucking ChatGPT and be like, this is the thing I'm talking about. I'm referring to. What was the actual numbers? Boom.
arguing.
Yeah, I'm arguing here that
Mhm.
secularists still get married, and you're making the stupid point
No.
that they're promoting cohabitation, even though that's not
I
the
would
case.
say that if it were the case that the middle class had access to the same amount of wealth as the college-educated women do, that they would be getting married at the same rates to those men
Okay, well, why aren't they getting married then?
because they don't have access to those men.
Okay.
Can you tell me why that's wrong? No,
I think
no, you can't, can you? Because it
I'm
makes
about
sense,
to.
doesn't it?
I'm about to.
Equality is squirming, trying not to answer this poll, just like you guys. No new votes. We need at least 2 more votes before I end this poll. I've got another good one for you, but we need at least 2 more votes. And Equality said Andrew with the first one, but Destiny, Hassan, or Sam Cedar, you got to pick one or the world blows up. These guys sound like 43-year-old wine moms. Hard to argue with that.
Okay, can't
Why
wait.
do you think there's such a gulf between relationships right now that you actually encourage?
I don't. What golf?
Wait, what?
Two.
Okay, can't
Why
wait.
do you think there's such a gulf between relationships right now that you actually encourage?
I don't. What golf do I encourage?
You encouraged it on
There you go. There you go.
Pearl Davis' show just this week.
What?
That the golf. She said men and women are dating. You said good.
Yeah. No.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You're gonna
Yeah.
lie right here, right in front of
No,
my
I don't
face?
think I did say that.
Yes, you did. You said it's good
or you're
because
leaving out
they're gonna.
critical
No,
content.
I'll tell you what you said. You
Okay,
said
go
they're gonna hold out because you think women are gonna cave first, so that we could start creating these gender roles again.
Yes. So you're talking about my internal critique of Pearl Davis.
Pearl Davis said men and women aren't dating, and you said good, and this is why it's good.
Yes,
That's not internal
good.
critique.
This is why it's good.
That's not internal
Yes,
critique.
it was. The entire conversation with Pearl was an internal critique.
That specific.
So then here, Andrew needs to be okay. So what was my point when I said that? Why did I say that? And what was like steelman me? And just Bill said Andrew's skinny fat. Is he skinny at all? I mean, he seems kind of just like a chubby, normal dad bod dude. But speaking of hitting the gym, guys, don't forget that we have a swole goal at the top of the chat. 15 super chats of any amount or a $50 total. And I have to get off my ass and do 10 push-ups. Come on through. And if we hit it before the timer, Morty might get some peanut butter. I don't know.
That's why it's good.
That's not an internal critique.
Yes, it was. The entire conversation with Pearl was an internal critique.
That specific conversation was not an internal
The
critique.
whole conversation was an internal critique.
That's a very likely story.
It's not only a but listen, am I a person who debates utilizing internal critiques?
Sure.
Yeah. And do I use that? Do I have a staple for utilizing internal critiques?
Sure.
Okay.
Motherfucker, you don't even I don't even think he understands what internal critique means. I think he's just going along with it because he doesn't want to seem stupid.
Why is it though that for some reason you think with Pearl Davis I wouldn't use internal
Because
critiques?
I will admit, throughout the podcast,
Because it helps my argument.
you were, but this specific point you weren't. This was
listen.
your own personal belief that it's a good thing that men and women
Yeah.
are dating because you only want Christian people dating.
No.
You only want Christian
No.
people dating and having babies. Secularists can go fuck themselves.
My point there, right now, this is off the top of my head, right? And I think it's unfair for you to hold me to the standard of this debate that I had that went on for hours. I can't remember every detail of it. But if I remember this correctly, what actually happened there was we were discussing secular marriage. And if the gulf got too wide, right? Then people are going to divert themselves over to other X thing. But I don't remember.
It had nothing to do with secular. It's like you keep throwing that word in front of what these people are saying because it just
It's almost like that's what he actually thinks. It's a really stupid thing to think, but I'm pretty sure he actually thinks it.
helps your argument. But that's not what you guys were discussing.
Well,
You were talking about men and women.
Projection. Damn, I didn't expect we would go an hour and a half, guys, with this type of person, and not a single projection. I am surprised. I am surprised. Give me a second right here. If you guys are enjoying the show, the party rages on 24/7 over in our Discord. The link is pinned to the top of the chat and is absolutely free to join 24/7. We're in there hanging out, having a great time. And guys, it is absolutely free. However, if you are a member of this channel here on YouTube, you can scroll right below that video and hit that join button. Starts at $2.99. There's a few different tiers, but $2.99 will get you in. It gets you members only live streams here on YouTube, all that other good stuff. But it opens up the full Discord server. So we've got the free chat that is open to anyone. Anybody can join and talk. But as you can see, that is just one of our channels. There's a bunch of different channels here, including our Disciple chat for members only, our Word of the Day watch party, where we're talking about all this stuff. And of course, we have the voice channel here, where we are hanging out at this moment. Shout out to everybody in the Discord server. Say hello and tell them to come and join. There you go, guys. Simple as that. See you there. And of course, don't forget that if you join the free chat, the link pinned at the top of the chat, you get not only the free chat that you're signing up for, but that after party that you just saw. We are headed there right after this stream. It is for channel members only, but if you join today for the free chat, I'll give you a day pass and you can come and hang out. And like we said, you are not stuck behind your keyboard. You're actually on screen with me and everybody else. It is a good time. TV said this dude just figured out he's playing a wedding and just wants to go home. What? Playing a wedding? What the fuck are you talking about? I said, Indian Jesus, the Russell brand we all deserve. I will take it. I will take it. Well, I said, you look so strange without headphones on. I look so strange with my hair down. This is the only time I have my hair down is when I'm talking to you guys. My hair's always tied up. It's just there. Yeah. But you know, I do have a life outside of this. Box said Mexico shows up for, what are we talking about? All right, dive back in.
Word in front of what these people are saying because it just helps your argument. But that's not what you guys were discussing.
Well,
You're talking about men and women aren't dating.
exactly.
Do you admit that men and women are dating currently? That it's, do you know men 18 to 24 have never asked a woman out in real life? Did you know that?
Yeah.
So
no, that's not correct.
Okay, correct me then.
Yeah, no, show me any data that shows that in your packet.
It's probably not in that packet
because it's not true.
Okay, then what's the statistic? Then?
I don't have to give you a counter. I just can tell you that that's not true unless you demonstrate it.
Okay, I'm the one who actually brought something. Did you bring any?
You brought wrong information. The sky is blue. No, it's not. Prove it. Well, what? It's just not blue.
Bring any data. Demonstrate.
You know what I mean? Green. Whatever. You know.
Demonstrate any statistic you've thrown out.
What statistic have I thrown out?
Demonstrate any statistic you've thrown out.
What statistic have I thrown out?
About how much more men in college make than their white counterparts.
You demanded that I give you a number. What did I say?
Yeah, I don't actually. You said it's significant.
I said I don't actually know other than it's significant.
Right. Well, then show me the proof of that.
Yeah, but I don't.
Google it.
That's all I know.
Then shut the fuck up.
Yeah. So here, just real quick, just demonstrate it. Demonstrate it. I got your data packet.
Let me ask you something. Are men and women dating less?
Hold on. If you got to answer his question.
I don't have to do anything.
Answer questions.
I don't have to do anything. I'm a badass. I don't have to do anything.
Hold on. If you're going to cross-examine him, he's going to cross-examine
I asked him initially how many people are dating, and
he's
then he said
answered most of your questions.
He has not answered. What was the question?
He loves to pack it in.
You've asked you've shotgunned a bunch of questions. He asked you a question back. You should respond.
Oh my God, this fucking room is cooking. Can you open that door up?
It is pretty hot in here.
Yeah, it's
Open
fucking
it up,
cooking.
both of them.
Holy shit.
Nah, that's just me.
Whew. This is like peak bad, dude. All right. It's got to be like a fucking 100 degrees in this room, dude. So anyway, where were we?
You don't not have air conditioning?
I asked about men and women dating and the gulf between them.
Yeah, what about it?
Do you admit that that's happening?
That there's a gulf between dating?
Yeah, the men and women are dating less.
By what?
In general.
What does that mean? What are you asking me?
Do you think men and women are dating less? Yes or no?
Yes.
And you think that's a good thing?
Contextually, it could be a good thing.
What do you mean by contextually?
Well, it could be that people are selecting for better mates, for instance, and so they're dating less because they have much more criteria for them to go off of.
Could be. I don't think that's the case, but the point that people dating less is bad is not necessarily it doesn't follow.
Maybe you could possibly see as results of that less single motherhood. It could be a good thing.
Do you think there are more involuntary celibate men than ever?
No.
You think this is
definitely not?
You think this is not an anomaly that's happening right now?
No.
When else in history do you think that was happening?
So throughout most of history, only about 40% of men ever reproduced, and we know this because of we can check our ancestry and see how many more female ancestors than male we have. So yeah, most men were not able to reproduce. They were expendable. They were used as soldiers, used as this, used as that.
I'm rewatching Game of Thrones, and if that's anything like what reality was, then they were just out there. Quality said, side note, some retarded F-slur that I am eventually going to slip up and say on this channel, but it's not going to be today. Downvoted your video here on Rumble.
How dare you?
Can't take it. Can't take it. I'm surprised that liberal feminist wokey is over on Rumble in the first place.
Yeah, most men were not able to reproduce. They were expendable. They were used as soldiers, used as this, used as that. So no, actually, more men.
Resources to reproduce. I can see that.
Yeah, you can see that point, right? Yeah, I don't think that this is like.
So you don't think there's a golf in the male loneliness thing? You don't think that's a real thing?
Yeah. Well, I didn't say that though. Okay. What did I actually say?
No, I'm asking. Do you think it's a real
So what
thing?
I actually said was, I do think it is the case that no, you are incorrect, and that this is not the worst it's ever been. I would say that the interpersonal sexual dynamics might be the worst they've ever been, but I also think that feminism and single mom caused that.
That's an interesting. Why do you think that caused it?
Because all the stats show that every single rate that you can imagine, a metric, which is horrific on young men, usually comes from single mother homes. We're talking everything from homelessness on up.
Like almost, I mean, it makes sense. Like just on its face, it makes sense. And we're going to get to something that makes sense on its face that is not true, which is why we do actually need to look into these things. But well, let's look into these things. Is this the right? Hold on, I just want to make sure I'm in the right chat. Yeah, okay. So, what percentage of all men who have? All right, can you guys see this? What are we looking at? Okay. What percentage of all men who have ever lived have procreated? What about? And how does that number compare to all the women who have ever lived? It's just simple. It's just, as I said, I'm a pro novice. I like it. That's something that I would have used in like high school as like a band name. I always loved the I forget what they're called. Not onomatopoeia. What is it called? Like jumbo shrimp and oxymoron, right? Is that what it is? Oxymoron? But anyway, those were those things. Anyway, okay. So what percentage of all men who have ever lived have procreated, and how does that number compare to all the women who have ever lived? This is a fascinating and often discussed topic. Well, thank you, ChatGPT. Roughly 80 to 90% of all women who have ever lived are estimated to have reproduced. Only 40 to 50% of all men who have ever lived are estimated to have reproduced. Why the huge gap? Polygamy. Polygyny. Throughout much of human history, many societies were polygynous. Few men fathered children with many women. What? How is this a polygamy and polygyny? Are those two different things? War and violence, biological constraints. 2014 study led by Melissa Sayers looked at the Y chromosome versus mitochondrial DNA. Found that effective population size of females is roughly twice that over our evolutionary history. So yeah, I will take this and put that in the Discord, in the disciple chat for the members, if you would like to take a look. That's simple. That's simple. All this time arguing, no, yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah. Let's just look it up.
usually comes from single mother homes. We're talking everything from homelessness on up.
I mean, I'm pretty stupid, and I will never turn down an oxy. Well, maybe not never. There was a time when I would because I knew I had to, but now I'm good, and you know.
Are
Like
single
almost
mother,
everything.
is another term for single mother homes fatherless homes?
Sure.
So why do you put it on women?
Yes,
it's
here we
usually women
go,
who initiate
baby.
being in the fatherless relationship, not men.
And why do they initiate being in a fatherless
The
relationship?
number one answer from women is that irreconcilable differences.
So do you know anyone in a woman in your life that's ever been divorced?
Sure.
Do they say, hey, we got divorced because we couldn't reconcile our differences, or do they say another reason?
Usually, well, I mean, they have all sorts of reasons.
Yeah, but they don't say we couldn't reconcile our differences, right?
Yeah, that's true. Well, what's your point?
Why do you use that as a reason women are
Because
getting
that's
divorced?
the reason they give is irreconcilable differences.
That's the reason they give in court, but what do
Yeah.
they give in real life? What's the real reason
They have,
women leave?
they have a varying.
Box said, I feel bad for the 10% of women so fat and ugly they couldn't find a man to hit it. Not me. Lose some weight, do your makeup, be a nice person, and somebody will hit it.
Degree of things, but here's what's not happening. What they're not actually giving in real life is he was abusing me, he was beating me up, he was doing this, he was doing that.
Do you know the
it's
top three
things-
reasons women file for divorce?
Tell me.
Infidelity, emotional neglect, and poor communication,
And what's-
followed by finances.
What's the top three though?
That's what the top three I just said.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No,
Yes,
the top
it
three is not infidelity.
Irreconcilable differences.
Yes, infidelity, emotional neglect, and poor
my God.
communication, followed by finances.
Oh, so what's the number one reason?
I just said infidelity. I just said
Infidelity is number one
Correct.
reason?
Correct.
Okay. Which one of these studies proves that?
Did you bring any studies?
Just tell me which one.
Don't you know
proves it.
what? Don't say any facts for the rest
Source.
of this debate if you're not going to show me a study. How about that?
Bro, listen.
Don't show.
Did I
No
make
more
the claim?
facts. No more facts.
You got to stop
Let me be back. Motherfucker, play this shit in the car. What are you doing?
interrupting him.
Dude,
Every time
did I make?
you literally
Yeah,
were
hang on.
interrupting his
Did
talk.
I make-
Good boy. Yeah, you
Did
gotta
I
get
did
your
I
voice
make a
back.
claim or did you?
It's called moderating the show.
Mhm.
You've been
Yeah.
interrupting the entire time.
Okay.
If
Now he's getting mad at Brian. I need to see that again. Now he's getting mad at Brian for moderating the show. What did he actually say?
interrupting him,
Dude,
every
I'm not
time
did I make?
you literally
Yeah,
were
hang on.
interrupting his
Did
talk.
I
Get
make-
your boy. Yeah, you
Did
gotta
I
get
did
your
I
voice
make a
back.
claim or did you?
It's called moderating the show.
Mhm.
You've been
Yeah.
interrupting the entire time.
Okay.
If Andrew interrupts you, I'll say the same thing to him.
Yeah, but just real quick, did you make the claim or did I make the claim?
I made the claim.
Okay, great. Can you show it?
I don't have the data point in front of me, but I looked it up prior to this, and you can do it after.
Okay.
Or you can do it right now. Please let him be reaching for his fucking phone. Please let him be reaching for his fucking phone. Because I feel like the 10% is so much more tragic than the 50%. It's like everyone here wins except for you. I don't get how you are a man and you get to this. I mean, fair enough. You know, if you believe that, you believe that. But it's just, to me, it seems very weird that, like, you know, it's the male loneliness epidemic and this, that. And you are a male, and you have specific issues that you're talking about with females, and you're like, yeah, but the women. It's just it's strikes me as odd.
Okay, great. Can you show it?
I don't have the data point in front of me, but I looked it up prior to this, and you can do it after.
Okay.
I'm a some from Equality over on Rumble. Paradox also works, but yeah, oxymoron was the one I was looking for. Said you ask far too much of women's. I guess I do. I guess I am a bigot who believes that women can actually accomplish things. I know. I'm a horrible, horrible person.
How dare you?
What if we do it now?
Go for it.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, man. Well, single motherhood.
Tell me, man.
Well, that's infidelity, and also
No.
and I'll use any facts.
This is just wild to me. I thought you were going to tell me that was the number one reason.
Okay, well, you can't use any facts if you don't have any
The
data.
number
to
one
back it
reason
up.
that I'm saying is lack of commitment.
Well, that's
You can't say things unless somebody that I think is an expert is saying it as well. Okay, dude.
Reason.
okay. Well, you can't use any facts if you don't have any
The
data.
number
to
one
back it
reason
up.
that I'm saying is lack of commitment.
Well, that's infidelity, and also
No,
emotional
no.
Points don't matter.
It's
neglect.
not.
Okay. What does lack of commitment mean to you, Andrew?
I have no idea what it means. You tell me.
Of course
What
you
is
don't, but
lack
it's
of
not
commitment?
infidelity, right? Because infidelity doesn't
Well,
show
what
lack of
is it?
commitment. Does infidelity?
They're fat and mean. That's what's wrong with them. They're fat and mean. Don't be fat. And especially if you are fat, be nice. It's that simple.
Show a lack of commitment?
So
Does
kid
it-
not
does
coming
it?
home by fucking 10.
Okay.
What are you talking about?
Okay.
So tell me, what does that mean? Lack of commitment.
You tell me.
You're
Oh my God, bro. Here's the thing I'm saying. What do you think I mean? What do you think I mean?
the one who made the claim.
You're the one who said it was irreconcilable differences.
That's the number one reason they file divorces. Is
Yeah,
what
but
I
that's
said.
not the reason people actually file for divorce.
Okay, so the reasons that they give, you're saying that the number one reason women give is infidelity.
Infidelity, emotional neglect, and poor communication.
Okay, where can I find the
I
statistic?
don't remember, man. I brought all the statistics. You didn't bring any.
Okay, so you're the one saying you can't say a fact unless you have the statistics to back it up. While you're saying a fact that you don't have the statistics to back it up. I thought that was your rule. You're not allowed to say any facts unless you have the study to back it up.
Okay, where can I find the statistic?
I don't remember, man. I brought all the statistics. You didn't bring any.
I didn't need to bring any.
Yeah, because you're making shit up.
What am I making up?
Anything you say, because you can't prove
Bro,
it.
what have I said that I made?
But you're doing a projection. You're the one that just made a claim. Whether or not he's been making claims without evidence or studies or statistics or whatever the fuck you're looking for. You just did that, and now you're getting mad at him for not having the source to be able to prove you wrong when it is very obviously on its face incorrect. It's working, guys. It's working, guys. This party is the way to fix your fucking life. If you're not subscribed, I don't know what the fuck you are doing. We are live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and sometimes whenever I feel like it, videos almost every single day. If you are new here, please do hit that subscribe. Glad you're feeling validated, John. Matthew said, emotional neglect is so loaded. They get bored and shut the man out. Then he gives up eventually, and now it's his fault. Yep. And we're about to get to something that is this, but on a scale of 10 times what we're actually talking about. This is indeed the Inverted Penis Conference. I am your leader with the most inverted penis. Maybe one day you can get your penis up as far inverted as mine, but you'll have to subscribe and become a member.
Need to bring any.
Yeah, because you're making shit up.
What am I making up?
Anything you say, because you can't prove
Bro,
it.
what have I said that I made up?
About the finances that?
How do I make something up when I say I don't know for sure?
Okay, well, you said it's significant.
That is true. It is significant.
Okay, well, how can you prove that?
Well, what does significant mean? Let's see. Statistically, let's just see if we can find this. Number one, what I'm seeing.
Okay, but difference is people file for a reason.
Well, we're talking past each other because we were talking about divorce,
right?
And I said that they file for irreconcilable differences,
right?
Quality gives Matthew a dilly. And I oblige. Wouldn't hate if it came with the rumble rant, but hey, let's drink.
You asked for the meaning behind the irreconcilable difference. I'm fine with that. I just don't think it's infidelity. I think that's incorrect. And when I just looked, it is. You made the claim that it is, but you can't tell me where.
But you're blaming women for filing for divorce, making it sound like it's just some fly-by-the-night thing they decided to do. There's typically a reason, and you read some.
I'm not saying.
Fly by night doesn't even mean that there is no reason. What Andrew's trying to say is the reason is very weak and flimsy. And as a Christian who believes that marriage is a sacrament that is meant to be for life, understanding that that's his worldview, you're just spinning your wheels, bro.
Making it sound like
Here's the thing. Here's the thing that I think I'm realizing. Because I don't know how he got here with such little content and experience. But it seems like he hasn't been exposed to the fact that other people think different things. And this giant thing of the manosphere, red pill, whatever, despite the fact that a lot of people dislike it, a lot of people do like it and have reasons for liking it. This would be like if I am an atheist, but if I was to go debate Andrew on is religion real? And I went in and I was trying to be like, well, but like a sky daddy, right? Like that's not a compelling argument. That's not a compelling argument. What's with this Andrew's? What? You don't need to show up. I just don't know what the fuck that means. Matthew said, John, after years of being emotionally ignored, men eventually give up and stop trying. Then she gets mad and calls it emotional neglect. My ex did it masterfully to multiple men. They know how to play the game.
Claim that it is, but you can't tell me where.
But
I
you're
can find that data.
blaming women for filing for divorce, making it sound like it's just some fly by the night thing they decided to do. There's typically a reason, and you read.
Isn't it though?
I'm not saying that there's not reasons.
Okay,
The question.
then why do
Bad reasons.
you blame women for single motherhood?
The question is whether or not there's good. Well, first of all, can you be a single mother and never be married?
Sure, but where's the father in this scenario?
Yes. Well, here's the thing: don't courts adjust towards women even when they aren't married?
You know, 1 in 3 children born out of wedlock don't see their father past the age of 3. Did you know that?
Why?
Oh, I cannot wait for this side quest. Some of you may be familiar with it, but it is so fucking on point. And even though, you know, I like I said, I have a love-hate relationship with the Crucible. But let's just play it.
You tell me.
I'm waiting.
No, you tell me.
Why do I need to tell you when I ask you a question? Why?
Because single motherhood is not just a female problem.
Okay, but why do they not have access?
Because
to the
men
child?
tend to abandon children.
Can you demonstrate that?
I think I just did.
How?
No, you didn't.
33% of children don't see their father past the age of 3.
Yeah,
out of
but that
wedlock.
doesn't prove that it's because the men don't want to.
Okay, how many men file for custody of the child in child court?
I don't know the stats off the top of my head. We can look.
95% of them are filed without contest from the father, and the 4% that do typically do get it. So if 95% of men aren't fighting for the child, I think you can look at men for the problem.
Oh, I see. Okay, so let's back up. Tell me something. Who can actually have children, men or women?
Wait, hold on. I just want to double check.
Men aren't fighting for the child without.
No. Give me a sec.
Okay, how many men file for custody of the child in child court?
I don't know the stats off the top of my head. We can.
It's a very, very small number.
Look,
95% of them are filed without contest from the father, and the 4% that do typically do get it. So if 95% of men are fighting for the child, I think you can look at men for the problem.
Let's ask an actual 20-year divorce attorney. Shout out to the lead attorney who has definitely helped me out in immense ways. You guys should absolutely go subscribe to him, especially, you know, with the Diddy stuff coming up. He covers trials like that. He was covering the whatchamacallit, the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial all the way through, and I just have so much respect for him. So this is Russell KD. If you're not familiar, I wasn't either. I believe he's like a Christian pastor type guy, and brings the same exact information that Soy Boy did. The exact information that 95% of men don't fight, and those that do win. So let's hear.
And this is something that's very counterintuitive. Guys, most divorce attorneys will tell men not to fight for their children.
Why?
Because most men, if they fight for their children, will not get their children. This is very complex, guys. So let me tell you something about a divorce case. Divorce cases most divorce cases are fairly cheap, relatively speaking. I mean, it's not these Dr. Dre types of divorces, right?
Sure.
Most divorces you can get resolved for under 15 grand. You can. There's one type of case that you can never get resolved for 15 grand. It is the most expensive type of case that a regular person is going to have. And that type of case is a custody battle. And when you talk about custody battles,
$25K to start.
Those things can get easily 35, 50, 75, 115. Now, imagine you're a man and you've got four credit cards, and you come to me and you say, Lee, listen, I make $60,000 a year, but I want to fight for my 2 kids. And you're going to tell me the facts of your case, and you got a little something.
I want you to pay attention. I want you to pay attention to the laugh that shows you this is really a guy who has lived through this over and over and over again. This guy knows what he's talking about. Listen for the laugh, because it's not at a funny point.
but I want to fight for my 2 kids. And you're going to tell me the facts of your case, and you got a little something. You got some arguments. But it's going to be a real battle because the judges are biased against men. And so we're going to have to put up a ton of evidence. What are we going to have to put up? Well, we got to do discovery. That's going to cost you 5, 10, 15,000. We got to take her deposition. But then we also need to get the kids some counseling. And we need to get some experts on the case. We need to get the psychiatrist. We need to get the kids evaluated. We need all their reports. We need for these experts to show up to court. And so you can make $60,000 a year, and I can run up your bill to 80 grand, which you cannot afford. So I have to tell you, I have to say, listen, you got a little something. But if I had to say whether you're going to win or lose, I don't think it's 50%. There are attorneys who will tell you, listen, pay me the 80,000, just put it all on all your credit cards, and I'm really going to try, and we're probably going to win. And what happens when you lose? They're going to look at you and say, well, we tried. We gave it the college try. Then they're going to take their 80 grand, the 80 grand you paid them, and they're going to fix their house and put their kids through a couple of semesters of college. And good attorneys don't do that. Good attorneys do the opposite. Good attorneys say, listen, what's going to happen when I start charging this 80 grand, you get up to 30 grand, and you're going to come to me and tell me, you're going to say, Lee, I ain't got no money. What am I going to do? You know what I'm going to do, Ruslan? I'm going to drop you as a fucking client because I don't work for free. So now I've got your 30 grand, but your trial isn't going to come for a year and a half. That means you got to get up another 30 grand. You got to get on another attorney's plan to pay for the case. So we attorneys tell you, listen, do not fight for custody if you cannot afford to do it. And a custody case is one of the most expensive cases that a man will ever have, and a normal man, not some NBA player or something like that. And so a lot of times it comes down to man, and men have tried. And you never hear about the men who spend $75,000 and then they lose, because what happens when they lose the $75,000? Now I've got their $75,000, and now guess what? They have to turn around and pay child support. You got.
That wasn't funny.
$75,000, and now guess what? They have to turn around and pay child support.
Not only did he laugh, he played his soundboard laugh. Yes, I did steal that from him. He knows what the fuck he's talking about.
Turn around and pay. With what money? Right? Because I've already cleaned out their life savings. So good attorneys, we say, listen, instead of doing this whole $75,000 thing, what I can do is try to fight to get the most visitation that I can. And most fathers are like, okay, because I can't afford to enter into an unfair trial, lose, and then turn around and pay child support money with money that I just don't have.
You're at 1.55. He talks so slow.
Now, what's interesting? The interesting thing you say is the more the man gets closer to court, the more the man has opportunities to win. Why is that? Do you know why that is? Because if I'm representing
the same reason the feds are going after Diddy, and nobody thinks Diddy is going to make it.
A husband, there are cases where I'm like, no, fuck this lady. We're going to get these kids. She's neglecting them. She's not taking care of them. She's doing this. She's touching them. She's not doing the things that she's supposed to do. We have a good case. We're like, oh, I don't know. No, let's go to court. The cases that go to court are the strongest cases. Right.
Rewrite that box. I'll pull it up.
You're thinking that the cases that go to court are equally strong as the cases that don't. And that's where you're missing. The cases that actually get to the trial, those are the cases that the men have the best chances of winning. So you're looking at the cream of the crop and assuming that the cream of the crop is reflective of the base of the pyramid. It's reflective of all the other cases. Now,
just like how women are like, men are this, men are that, men are that. Yet, unless he's a 7 out of 10, 6 feet tall, you're not even looking at him. You don't know what men are. You know what those men are.
You wouldn't know that, right? Because you're just looking at the numbers. The numbers don't tell you which are the strongest cases and which are the weakest cases.
Right. Well, assuming that the strongest cases, the men are even acting towards wanting custody, 50-50 custody or full custody. That's assuming that in the bottom 90% or the bottom 99% that never see a judge, that there's men there that want it, but you're saying they're getting legal advice saying they don't want it. My buddies who went through this process didn't have attorneys. They just went through it and fought in the court system on their own behalf, right? So we agreed that the vast majority of these cases never even make it before a judge. The ones that do make it before a judge, the man has the higher shot in winning, right? Right. And so you're saying, but you wouldn't give them that sort of advice. And I would say, well, why not? Why not?
Because you're going to lose. That's the point that you're missing. Again, the feds aren't going after somebody unless they already know that they're going to win. This is exactly the same. You don't go, as a man, you don't go after custody unless you know you're going to win. If she's beating the kids and smoking meth, yeah, you're probably going to have a good chance of winning, so go for it. Spend the money. It's worth it. But if she's just a normal person, the courts are fucked, and you are probably going to lose. Or at least it's a coin flip, and it's not worth the money. And as Box was saying, visitation equals less money paid.
I give them that sort of advice. And do they always need an attorney in a situation like this? When, again, and this is me being honest with you, I'm saying I've seen it anecdotally play out where brothers didn't have attorneys. They went in, they got their kids. They went in, they had an argument.
That must have been an egregious case where, like I said, where she's smoking meth while she's beating them.
They said, hey, I am the primary care provider. This is how I take care of my kids. The kids want to stay with me, and they got their kids, right? And so I understand what you're saying. I understand that you're saying, hey, the odds are in our favor, this and this and this. But I'm saying empirically speaking, the numbers don't look like that. And then if we can escalate it to that point of, hey, I'm going to go fight for my kids, it doesn't sound like it's not in the man's favor. You're saying it's a fight.
This is precisely why all the lefties who just have their entire worldview based on numbers don't understand real life, because he is not wrong. White boy is not wrong. The numbers say if you fight for your children, statistically, you are overwhelmingly more likely to get those children. Unquestionably, that is what the statistics and the numbers and the studies say. But that's not the full story.
Financial thing. I'm saying is that the only way to fight for your kids is you have to pay 100 bands and wipe out your life savings? I'm genuinely asking here.
Yeah, let me just tell you as an attorney, my favorite case, my favorite type of case in divorce cases is when I represent the woman and the man represents himself. Oh, oh my God. Your best case, your anecdotal cases, that's my favorite case. And it's not only my favorite case, it's all attorneys' favorite case.
Because the woman has the means to pay for you as an attorney and the man doesn't have the means to pay for you or pay a similar lawyer as you.
I'm going unopposed. I'm going to crush you. I'm going to crush you. There's no way you can't deal with AV who's in law school. Like a regular person can't go up against a law school student. And I've graduated law school, passed the bar, and been practicing for 20 years.
So we're talking about the 1.5% of cases where the woman has the means to hire someone like you, spend 70 bands to escalate it, to get it before a judge, to keep the kids from the husband.
No, we're not talking about that. I'm talking about cases where the father opts to not hire an attorney.
Which is on the father.
Correct.
Right. No, I'm sorry. You're talking about cases where I thought we backed up. I thought we were talking about cases where the father opts out of fighting for the kids at all and just gets what he can get. Like that to me is an L. You know, this is like if you want to be in your.
That's life, motherfucker. That's life. Sometimes life serves you an L. That's life.
Kid's life, you have to actively pursue being in your kid's life.
This is so wrong. This is so wrong. I'm so glad you're saying this. This is
Cook
so
'em,
wrong.
baby. Cook 'em, baby.
You have no idea how many men's lives have been destroyed financially trying to fight for something that you're not going to get.
You know, again, I'm just saying all I could go off of is the data that I'm finding, and the data that I'm finding.
You're misinterpreting the data. That's what I'm telling you.
According to the data, men have a better shot if they escalate. So I don't know how.
I'm telling you why.
You're saying
it's the why. No, you're saying that you're reading the data, but you don't know the why. It's like, guys, you can read that 2 + 2 = 4, but you might not understand it. You might need someone to explain it to you. You're saying 2 + 2 = 4, but you might not understand why. You're reading the statistics, Ruslan, but I'm telling you why. Why is it that the majority of men do not go to court for these kids? It's because they're not going to get them. You know, it would be,
or can I propose an alternative hypothesis?
You could, but you're going to be wrong.
Yeah.
Or is it that the men don't want their kids? Or is it the men aren't the primary care provider? Or is it the men don't have the emotional capacity to fight for their kids? Or is it?
Yeah, men are just bad. Just generally, men don't really care about their offspring. How dare you? I'd push the button if I was being sarcastic, but how fucking dare you? Your fucking frilly ass, gay ass hair.
Is it because the men have moved on and maybe the man practiced hypergamy, found a younger, hotter wife, and they're ready to start a new family? Why are we not going to acknowledge that those scenarios happen? I see those happen a lot. I see a lot of single mothers around here that would love for the father to be in the picture, but the dad.
A lot, or you've seen it. A lot, or you've seen it.
Dad's checked out. The dad's moved on. Like, where's the responsibility on the men on this situation? I understand that the court system's not fair.
I said I did a lot of legwork myself. They are as good as the case they take on. He is not a public defender. Sometimes that's you know, I mean, you don't necessarily get a public defender for this type of stuff, but you know, you can't necessarily always. Money buys justice. Unfortunately, that's America, Jack.
Way more astute to that. That's your line of work, your expertise. I'll defer to you. But I'm saying we can't say that all men always want their kids and always get a bad shot from the court system. It's hard for me to wrap my brain around that. Personally, anecdotally speaking, knowing multiple single dads.
So in the same way that you can't understand that a flower is due to evolution, so you're just going to believe in God, you can't believe that people would have a hard time in court, so you're just going to believe men are bad. Sounds pretty woke to me. Guys, we are past the 2 hour mark. If you would like to keep the party raging, you know how to do it. Let's finish up this side quest and head back into the debate.
And also from the data that I'm saying.
Yeah, you're misinterpreting the data. And I think we haven't really talked about this, but it's true. There are men who do not like their kids. There are men who don't want to spend time with their kids. There are men who don't want to pay for their kids. There are men who don't want to see their kids. I represent all these men.
Which
But
can you
those-
give me a percentage if you're talking generally speaking from
So
your
let me
experience?
let me finish for a second because this is
sorry,
very
go ahead.
important. Because you want to talk about all these men not doing stuff, but it's interesting that you don't talk about the other side. Maybe you don't know. Let me
I
finish.
just said that on the front end that my buddies took full custody of their kids.
And what did you say? You said that the women they didn't use drugs
They
or
didn't use
anything
drugs,
like
they
that. So
were
you're
on
not talking about it.
That doesn't
If-
mean they were the most competent mothers either.
If you could let me finish, maybe you could hear. You're talking about these two gentlemen that won custody of their kids with no attorneys, and the mother weren't on drugs or anything. That's what you said. Let me tell you something about the other side, which you don't want to talk about. There are some shitty moms, and I know that because I've represented them.
Of course,
there are moms that have physically abused their kids. There are moms that abandon their kids. There are moms that neglect their kids. And so, if you have shitty fathers, then guess what? You also have, since fathers are humans, guess what mothers are? Mothers are humans too. So you have shitty moms. So if you have shitty moms and you have shitty fathers, why is it that 90% of the women have primary custody when the moms are shitty too? This is what you need to analyze when you're looking at your numbers, guys.
Now, math ain't mathin', bro.
If you don't really practice in the space, you just look at the numbers. You have no idea what you're looking at. You're like, why is it? Why is it if men and women can be equally good or equally bad? You would think that the numbers would be more 50-50, wouldn't you? Obviously, there are shitty moms, but why is it that 90% of the moms get primary custody?
One more time in case you missed it. Link in the chat. And so I was saying that I sent this video over to Andrew and tagged Rachel because I'm like, you guys need to understand this.
The 4% that do typically do get it. So if 95% of men are fighting for the child, I think you can look at men for the problem.
Oh, I see. Okay, so let's back up. Tell me something. Who can actually have children, men or women?
Women.
Okay. Are these women being raped?
No.
Okay, so
They're not. No women are being raped. Okay.
they have the responsibility of making sure that they don't get pregnant, right?
I think two people have the responsibility to make sure they don't get somebody pregnant as well.
But do you agree with me that it is the case that most men will sleep with most women, but most women won't sleep with most men?
So what?
Yep.
So if that's the case,
Again, so what? Why don't you listen and you'll learn?
right? Then women have greater access than men do, don't they?
Sure.
So if that's the case, why are they granting access to men who abandon their kids?
How do they?
Good question, and thank you, Nicholas, for pointing this out. 10 people here and 11 likes. Dilly dilly to you guys.
You know they're going to abandon their kids.
Well, yeah, that's so.
Wait, whoa, what?
Granting access to access than men do, don't they?
Sure.
So if that's the case, why are they granting access to men who abandon their kids?
How do they know they're going to abandon their kids?
Well, yeah, that's so weird, though. Wait a second. Let's back up. They're the ones who have the sexual access, right? So if they don't know, why are they sleeping with these men? They're the ones who get pregnant, not the men.
And men are the ones that get them pregnant.
Yeah, but so what?
They're a part of the equation.
So what?
That's a part of the equation.
Yeah, but women are the ones who get to access that.
And men are the ones that access it.
Okay. Can men have abortions?
No.
Can men force women to have abortions?
No.
Do you believe women should be able to have abortions?
Yes.
Well, if that's
Of course you do.
the case, right, that you believe women ought to be able to have abortions, men ought not to have any say on whether or not women have abortions, then women are the ones who ultimately have 100% access around reproduction, not men.
So men have no responsibility in your eyes?
How could they have a responsibility if they're not allowed to make the choice of if the child's even here or not?
If you got somebody pregnant, would you abandon them?
Do I form a secular worldview or do I form a Christian one?
Do Christian people abandon their children? No, they don't. All Christians are perfect.
No. Under Christian ethics, you're not to abandon your children.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, so only secular people abandon their children.
No, that's not what I.
Oh my God, dude, you're so dumb. You're so fucking dumb. You're so fucking dumb. And this is why Christianity is having a resurgence. Because you think that, because you're like, oh yeah, Scott Daddy's stupid. Which it is stupid. But you don't understand the I'll call it mental gymnastics that Christians actually use to create a at least internally logical worldview. And then you brush it aside without understanding what it is. And then you don't have, I'm not expecting you to be having reverence for Christianity. But like, there's not even a thought of like, okay, well, what is the reason that a secular person, or rather, no, let me back up. What is the reason why secular people, not a secular person, because a secular person may follow, by and large, Christian values. But there's nothing in being secular that says don't leave your children. This is why secular humanism cannot work. Secular humanism is only for people who already want to do good. And I don't know if you guys have seen The Average Atheist. As an atheist, I can tell you, they don't really care about doing good. Isaac said, guys, so dumb he doesn't know when he's owned, well-owned, perfect slave class. That's why we need to fight against this shit. That is exactly why. Yep.
In ethics, you're not to abandon your children.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, so only secular people abandon the children.
No, that's not what I said. What did I just say?
Christian ethics bans you from.
Under Christian ethics,
Right.
you ought not do that.
Right.
Is ought not the same as they don't?
Should anyone do that?
Do I think so?
Yeah.
Under Christian ethics, no.
Even secular. Do you think people should? Even if you're secular, do
Under
you
Christian
think people
ethics,
should?
I don't think secular people should.
And I think secular people also don't think they should abandon the children. So
Okay.
what's the point?
And what are you arguing? What are you arguing? I feel that, brother. I feel that. I probably have more atheist fatigue than any of you.
But they can kill them.
I don't think it's killing.
Oh, I know, right?
We're not
Of
going to.
course not, because that would make you contend with reality.
You don't think it's killing?
No, it's not.
That's not.
It's
Okay,
not.
got it. They kill them, but they think that they
It's not
shouldn't
killing.
abandon them.
It's not.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
don't
horrible
see-
framing. That's
like,
a horrible
I don't see
framing.
a great compelling reason here. If the idea is that that these women they're getting knocked up, they're the ones who have complete and total access to who sleeps with them. They're not getting raped, and they have the choice as to whether or not they abort or not abort. Yeah.
But someone also was.
But does the man have a choice?
The man was.
Does the man have a
has
choice?
a choice to not impregnate a woman?
Now, what if the man
has a choice to not
Does the
impregnate
man
a
have
woman?
the choice
yes.
to keep the baby?
Not if the woman
Does the
doesn't
man
want
have?
to.
I'm trying to keep it on one line. Then I'm going with the chat on the side over here. Then all my banners are different.
Woman,
Now, what
yes.
if the man
has a choice to not
Does the
impregnate
man
a
have
woman?
the choice
yes.
to keep the baby?
Not if the woman
Does the
doesn't
man
want
have
to.
the choice to make the woman pay him child support and keep the baby?
How much is the average child support?
Can you answer my
payment?
question?
No.
I just went.
How much is
no, no. Answer my fucking
no.
question.
I just said no.
Okay. Let's back up.
How about you listen?
Yeah. Okay, let's back up. Well, I said, can you answer my question? And you said no. You can see how I could perceive that as you saying, I'm not going to answer your question, right?
Yes. No.
Even
To
the
your
moderator
original
thought that
question.
was the case. Okay, so let's back up. You do believe that it is the case that men can't force women to have their children.
Correct.
But women can force men to take care of their children.
That's correct.
Okay. How is that fair?
I'm not saying it's fair.
Then why are you proposing it? I would like life to not be fair.
Okay, so then what is the so then if men didn't want to have that child, why should they be held to account, take care of it?
Because it's their child.
Then why shouldn't the women be held to the same standard, you fucking moron?
What?
Because it is their child.
I'm super confused, but they didn't have a say.
Doesn't matter. It's their child.
Should they be able to have a say?
I don't think so.
But you just said it's not fair.
Yeah, it's not fair. So what? They had a child. That's their child. They should take care of it and not abandon it.
So, okay, so to get this right, then women should be able to kill men's children if they want, right? Or
according to the feminist, yep.
not framing it as killing. They
Or
should-
hang on, or keep them if they want, and the man has to pay child support for the child.
That's correct.
Right?
That's correct.
And you think women should get to make that choice?
100%.
Why should we let women make that choice?
Because they're the ones that have to, conceive.
So got it. So they're the ones who have to conceive. So they're the ones making the choice.
Yep.
So therefore it's their responsibility. Anything else?
No, because the father is also part of the responsibility.
Wait, I'm sorry. Who's making the choice?
They can have the child, but the father should take care of their child. And you don't disagree with that, do you?
Wait,
do you disagree with that or not? Do you disagree
I
that the
can't
father
justify
should
it
take
from a
care of the
secular
child?
angle.
Why not?
Because it makes no sense to
It
me.
makes total sense. If you have
Okay,
a child,
let's
you should
try
take
this.
care of it.
Well, let's try this again. I just walked you through the logic, though.
Fuck the logic. I'm asking you.
Fuck the logic, he says. Fuck the logic. I just have fifis, and my fifis say that we should do this, that, and the other, because my fifis are fifiing. What a fucking fat.
Total sense. If you have a child, you should take care of it.
Well, let's try this again. I just walked you through the logic, though.
Fuck the logic. I'm asking you,
Fuck the logic? What?
do you think a secular person should take care of the child that they have?
Does a Christian think that? Of course.
And you don't think secular people do?
Well, I can't see how secularists could justify it. No, not if you're making the claim. So you made the claim.
From my worldview, if you have a child, you should take care of it.
Why?
Period.
Why?
Because that's my worldview.
Okay. Why though?
Because it's your child. You,
Well,
you are
justify
part
Vibes, bro.
For
of
me.
it. I don't need to justify
Right,
for you.
because when we walk around the logic, here's what we end up with. You say women have complete and total access, should be able to kill a man's kid, right? Or should be able to bring it to bear and make sure that the man takes care of the kid, but the man can't tell the woman that she has to have the kid even when she's pregnant.
That's
right?
correct. And if there's a child in the world that man contributed to, he should take care of it.
Okay, so just
but not the women, only the men. Only the men should be responsible
to make sure that we got this right. It's an uneven standard for men versus women.
If that's the world we live in.
Yeah. So justify.
That's the world we live in because of people like you. It's like turning on all the faucets and clogging all the drains in your house or in your friend's house, rather. You're at your friend's house and you just, like what was the Sticky Bandits, right? Home Alone. He's like, I turned on all the faucets and da. You do that at your friend's house. And they're like, yo, what the fuck? Now the whole fucking thing is wet. It's like, yeah, well, sometimes you got to walk on wet stuff. What? It's like, motherfucker, you did that. I don't want to be walking on a wet floor. I would like a dry floor. Well, sometimes it just is that way. You did that.
Why it is that men shouldn't say, fuck that.
I don't need to.
Okay. Well, then, when you ask me...
Again, you don't need to. You don't need to do anything. But if you want anybody to understand what the fuck you're talking about or agree with what you're saying, you do.
Andrew, don't you think X? And I say, well,
and
yeah.
You say I can't.
And when I say from a secular point of view, I actually can't answer the justification. Just remember that neither can you.
And I would say most secular people also believe you should take care of a child if you're the one.
From the Christian ethical angle, of course, you're supposed to take care of your children. But from the Christian ethical angle, it's also completely appropriate, right, to put significant pressure on women to not have abortions, meaning men get a say in the choice, right?
Well, what's wild to me is that you're.
And of course, because of scientifically, life begins at conception, and there's no reasonable argument for that. It should be a secular thing to also believe that is not a choice a woman should make. But we don't have the driving incentive to get people to do the right thing. And so what it boils down to is, I feel like this is the right thing, therefore it is the right thing. And maybe you are a good person. What was it, Raphael? Maybe you are a good person. But most people aren't. Most people aren't. So it's irrelevant. If you're giving keys to how people who already want to do good stuff can do good stuff, you're not doing anything to society, because those people already want to do good.
Complaining about single motherhood, and then you're sitting here saying, well, men should say fuck it, which is just wild. That men should say fuck it if they want to.
When did I say when?
Fuck what? Fuck what? What are you talking about?
You said so men should say fuck it, right?
I'm sorry. Do you know what an ought is versus a descriptor? Sure. What's an ought?
An ought is, I don't know.
Did I say that?
You don't know what... what do you mean you don't know what an ought is? How have we gotten this far and you don't understand? Just in case we have any male feminists in the chat, an ought is that which you should do. That is crazy. That's not even like, whatever. Okay.
Know what an ought is versus a descriptor?
Sure.
What's an ought?
An ought is, I don't know.
Did I say?
He tried. He was like, an ought is...
that secular men ought do that? Or did I say I can't think of a justification?
You can't think of a justification.
Neither can you.
But you also don't think single motherhood is a good thing, correct?
That's correct.
So why don't you encourage men to take care of the children?
Should we force them to?
He does.
I think so.
Okay, so you think that we should force men to take care of the kids?
Correct. That's what child support is.
But no. No, that's not. Well,
semantic obfuscation. Of course, a liberal would think that child support is taking care of a child, but no.
That is true that they take it by force, I guess.
Yeah, that's what you said.
But what I'm talking about force is like, should we make them participate as a father?
Yes.
We should force that.
And so as long as the court rules that they should, yes.
That was not the question. So you are simultaneously saying all these men are so bad because they don't even care about the kids, but also we should force them to spend time with them. Why would you want that? If they're such bad men, why would you want them around children?
No, that's different. I'm not asking about what the court rules. I'm asking, do you think we should force men to participate?
I think they should force at least child support. And if
no, that's not my question.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Should they force men to participate in being a father?
No.
Being a father,
No. Not if the father. If the father's going to be a shitty father, then no.
Can you explain to me how it is that if the woman can get child support from the guy, right, and you are not going to force any participation?
Come on, guys. I really want to keep this going. 99 cents? Not one of you motherfuckers has 99 cents? Come on.
Aren't you pushing single motherhood?
No, you're blaming women for single motherhood.
Yeah.
And you're saying
they're the ones who have all the choice by your own admission.
But the fathers have no part to play in it. And single motherhood fathers have no part to play.
Fathers can't make the determination as to whether or not they can even have the kid, and only the woman can. You hold an uneven playing field. I have at least a consistent view. Women should not be allowed to abort, and men ought to actually be made to participate in their own children's life. That's my consistent worldview. Your worldview is inconsistent.
Okay.
You're making it's totally inconsistent.
I said that.
And this is the problem, is that so much of this is intuitive. So much, not all of it. A lot of it is intuitive in the sense that just by experiencing being a human, you understand, okay, theory of mind. You understand that, okay, I'm a human. And so other humans are probably somewhat similar, at least at the level of, I don't want to get punched in the face. So it stands to reason that other people wouldn't want to get punched in the face. I like when people say nice things to me. So it stands to reason that other people like when people say nice things to them, so on and so on and so forth. And yes, you can definitely operate on that on a very low level. But if you are trying to dig into the reasons of why this is the case and the etymology of why things are right and wrong, you can't just have this vibes thing. Be like, God, we all know what's right and wrong. No, motherfucker, we don't. That's the fucking point. You believe that because you are a good person, that the things that you think are good. Fair enough, but you have to ground them in something. And I don't believe that a God exists. So I do believe all of this is absolutely subjective. That doesn't mean that what subjective ideology that we choose or follow then doesn't have objective moves within it. You guys have probably heard me say this a million times before, but we made up the game of chess. The rules of chess are not inherent to the universe. We could change the rules of chess tomorrow, and then those would be the rules of chess. That being said, objectively, there are moves that are better or worse if you are playing chess. Subjective into the objective. So Christians think that they have an objective grounding. And so they use the belief in God and Christian ethic as their subjective grounding in morality. And because it is agreed upon, then objectively, you can say this is in line with Christianity or this is not in line with Christianity. So objectively, it adheres to the subjective ideology, or objectively, it does not adhere to the subjective ideology.
If a man has a child,
you're just giving privilege to women.
If a man has a child, they should take care of it. Do they? That's a different story. I'm saying they should.
If women have children, should they take care of it?
Yeah.
Can they give it up for adoption?
Sure.
Okay. Can the man make the woman give, or why can't the man give up his parental rights and just walk away? If the woman can.
If the woman does, then he can.
Well, wait.
Only with her permission.
That's really weird. I don't get it. If it is the case that the mother has guardianship of the father's child, she can still put the child up for adoption, right?
Sure.
Okay, but he can't.
If he has guardianship of the child, he can't.
If he has guardianship,
well,
right?
so he can too.
But if she's a single mom, what gives him guardianship?
Well, he doesn't have guardianship. I'm saying if a father has guardianship, he can also put up the child for adoption. It's not just a mother.
Yeah, but who does it default to?
Why does it default to women?
Because
feminism and people like you who just demonize men based on stupid statistics that you don't understand.
That's the way the system is set.
How is it set that way?
Because it has become.
What is that question? How is it set that way? What do you mean? How is it set that way? Those are the rules of the court. What do you mean? What is it? What question is that?
Matrilineal rather than patrilineal.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
It means from the father or from the mother.
No, I know the definition. You always use those words.
Means that
but why is the family court?
Yeah.
Why is it giving it to women?
Because feminists have made huge pushes in order to make it that way.
Feminists have pushed that women get custody of the child?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are most judges in family court men or women?
And family court, they're men.
And so they're influenced by feminists?
I'm sorry, wait a second. Are you saying that men can't be feminists?
I'm saying that I doubt that the majority of family court.
Oh, they're men, so they must be bad, right?
That men can't be feminist?
I'm saying that I doubt all the family court judges are so influenced by
Do
feminism.
family court judges have to adhere to the law, or do they make the law?
I'm not sure if they make the law or not.
You're not sure if judges of family court make the laws. What is it you say you do here? Just tell women what they want to hear, apparently.
They have to adhere to the law. They don't make it, right? Yeah. So family court judges.
We got to be careful. We got to be very, very careful. I mean, man, bear, you never really know.
I'm not sure if they make the law or not.
They have to adhere to the law. They don't make it, right? Yeah. So family court judges are just adhering to the law, right?
And what's the law say?
Yeah, the law. So here's what happened.
The law says default to the woman because reasons.
What are called coverture laws. Coverture laws actually force.
No, you don't got to go.
Men to take care of their families. That very same thing that you want, right? Of course, this also made children their property, and women, right, were also part of the man then, right? That was how it went. But guess what? They had to take care of their family or they went to fucking jail. That's what happened. Marriages stayed together about 95%. And then you know what happened? Feminists really pushed real fucking hard for the average default laws. And here's what the average default laws were. The average default laws were saying basically, on average, the default is going to go to women, right? Now, there's a whole series of laws I can pull up and go through. But yes, this was pushed by feminists so that there was default laws which pushed literally that women by default had custody. Yes, that is correct.
Yep. John said, I'm fucking leaving. I said, shit, me too. It's time for the after party. Guys, remember, click that link at the top of the chat and come hang out. The party rages on over in Discord. Big shout out to Amanda and, of course, our sponsor of the stream, TV Viewerski, a.k.a. the Overlord, Morty. Guys, thank you so very, very, very much for hanging out. I don't have to do any push-ups for you. Suck it, fuckers. Until next time, guys, thank you so very, very much for hanging out. Once again, this is Morty, and I have been your host, Lutch, a.k.a. the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Until next time, guys, we are out of here. Peace.